Mall was contained to only one business. Ford's Locker got the brunt of the damage, but the surrounding businesses did get minor smoke and water damage. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. People in Harriman in an apartment complex are hoping someone can provide information to help them track down the people who vandalized multiple cars in their parking lot. Harriman police say there were multiple car burglaries and attempted vehicle thefts at the Copperwood Apartments last Friday. Caitlin Beck's car had a lot of damage, and she tells KSL she believes it might have been a group of kids.
Damaged with a rock through the back windshield. The underneath of the car was completely unwired and wires chopped, and there was a bunch of alcohol bottles. They did say that it might be totaled due to the damage.
Other neighbors say their cars were also vandalized. Our top national story this hour, hundreds gathered for a vigil at Brown University for the 2 students killed and 9 injured in Saturday's mass shooting. Police releasing new images of a person of interest they say may have been near the scene of the shooting earlier that day. Here's ABC's Hannah Battah.
At 4:06 p.m., the man is spotted again not far from the site of the attack. In some clips, he has a small bag. He's described as 5'8" with a stocky build. As for the victims, 7 of the 9 survivors remained in the hospital last night, 1 in critical condition.
The investigation is ongoing. Your money at this moment, the Dow is off 98 points right now. That's 0.2%. We're at 48,016. Coming up, these warm temperatures persist, but a wind advisory today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Are you within 3 years of filing for Social Security? You've heard about delaying your benefits to get a bigger benefits check, right? But guess what? That could be a huge mistake. When you consider your taxes, Medicare premiums, and other benefits, you could potentially get more income by filing early. Find out the precise timing that could get you the most money possible with a free, customized Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. Don't leave one dime on the table that's rightfully yours. Schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
You know, most diets will help you lose a few pounds, but Soda weight loss will help you lose years. I lost 37 pounds on the Soda weight loss program 3 years ago, and I feel younger than I've felt in decades. And it's not because of how I look, it's because of how I feel.
But you do look younger,
Thank
too.
you.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and then I looked at the before and after pictures of myself
Yeah.
and was like, wow.
It's something when you don't have to carry all of that excess weight around. And I was at a stage in my life where I didn't want to add drugs to my regimen. I wanted to reduce the number of medications I had to take. So the nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss taught me how to have a healthy relationship with food.
And it was so helpful that I could text my nutritionist anytime I wanted to for advice, which helped me learn what I needed to know so that I could keep it off. And right now, this is the perfect time to join, because if you join now, your partner joins for free. It's the perfect gift for both of you.
It's at Soda Weight Loss.
SOTAweightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Thursday, December 18th, join KSL News Radio from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. And then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great with 4 locations. NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show Thursday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound delays on I-15 approaching and leaving the point of the mountain around Timpanogos Highway and Bangerter Highway. But if you're at the peak of the point of the mountain, apparently you're going just fine. Parallel to that, a long stretch of heavy delays on Redwood Road from 2100 North in Lehigh up to Porter Rockwell Boulevard. And heavy delays eastbound on Pioneer Crossing in Lehigh approaching I-15 in the construction zone. Attention Wasatch Front business and property managers. Don't wait for bad weather to schedule professional snow service with GoPave Utah. Your complete parking lot safety starts with GoPaveUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
There is a wind advisory in effect until 5 o'clock today. Expect winds up to 55 miles an hour in the valley. We'll also see some rain. The highs will be around 56. Right now it's 54 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. I'm alongside Holly Richardson this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, Holly, when I was, when my generation was in high school and college, it was an automatic. It seemed that we would go to college. It was just one of those things that was expected. And even with my own children who are now adults, we assumed that they were going to go to college. But more and more people are looking at that and wondering if it's really worth the cost in light of other things that can be done. Not that a college education isn't valuable, but that there are other avenues. And the education department has launched what they're calling an earnings indicator that sort of helps people understand their potential earnings from college as opposed to what it's going to cost to get through college and whether or not it's worth it.
It's interesting, and I mean, unanticipated for me. So luckily we have Jason Swinson on the line. He's a reporter with the Deseret News, and he just wrote about this. Thanks for joining us, Jason. I'm wondering if you can tell our listeners what is this earning indicator and how will it be implemented? Sure.
It's a new initiative that was just announced and started up by the Department of Education earlier this month, Holly, and it's really designed an earnings indicator that's really designed to help prospective students when they're making the really difficult decision on whether to pursue post-secondary education, whether that's through a university, a college, or a trade school, or some other sort of post-secondary or higher education, and consider all of the different factors. And, of course, one of the key factors that anyone goes to school after high school are the earning potential, what they might want to do to earn a living. And as Greg mentioned a moment ago, there's just an ongoing debate now that seems to be really intensifying as to the actual value of a college degree or a college education or post-secondary education, especially with the rising, costs of tuition and more Americans taking on heavy debt to be able to attend college or to receive some sort of post-secondary training. And so this initiative that's started by the Department of Education is really designed again to help students have a clear idea when they're making a choice about where they might want to attend school as to just what the earnings they could expect there. And help them make the best decision on how to spend their money and time.
And Jason, it seems that there has been a lot of discussion about student loans, just what you're talking about here, and students graduating from college after a 4-year degree or after a graduate degree and having 6 figures in debt. Even the Biden administration made some efforts to do away with student loan debt, but student loan debt has become so pervasive. So it seems like it's just much bigger than it was when I was in college, and that's affecting these decisions as well, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There was a story that I cited in my most recent story from the U.S. News and World Report that said the average total student debt in the United States is now hovering around $30,000, with graduates in 2024 owing almost $500 more in loans on average compared with just the prior year. And you've certainly seen that jump over the same decade. And you're right. If you went to school, 30 or 40 years ago, it would almost be unrecognizable. Now, I will say that a number of educators, school administrators, and different things that I've spoken to, because I've covered this issue several times over the past year, this debate as to the actual value of college and if it's worth the time and money. And sometimes they say that the headlines are don't always tell the entire story, with so many different grants and financial aid and different things available. All things that need to be considered again when you have to make a correct decision, a wise decision on how to spend your time and money. And I think this Department of Education new earnings indicators all just part of that discussion and debate on how we can make good decisions when we decide where we want to go to college.
Jason, can you tell us how Utah is looking when it comes to these earnings indicators?
Well, as the story indicates, there is some data points, a data fact sheet that the Department of Education has provided that examines pretty much all of the universities, colleges, as well as a number of different post-secondary education institutions, such as cosmetology and that sort of those sort of programs. And Utah actually performed very, very well. There are several institutions that were flagged, and that was one element of this new earnings indicator. Is if it's determined that graduates of a specific institute are in fact making less than high school graduate counterparts in their own states, that would be flagged, and anyone pursuing say federal aid or a grant to attend that school would be notified with a lower earnings disclosure. But to answer your question, Holly, Utah's actually performed very, very well. Certainly, all of the universities, colleges that are under the umbrella of the Utah system of higher education received a no in the low earnings disclosure, which means their graduates are earning at a higher rate than their high school graduate counterparts. The one exception was Bridgerland Technical College, a technical college based out of Logan, that was indeed flagged. And I know that as I've looked a little bit at that school, there is a cosmetology program, which I know has been the vast majority of these institutions are flagged, at least from my examination of data, have been that sort of school. So I don't know if that's the issue there. I'd have to look a little bit closer. But for the most part, it seems as if Utah schools, particularly our public schools, along with those schools that are sponsored by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, are all performing fairly highly when you look at the average earnings of graduates compared to their high school counterparts.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That was Jason Swenson with the Deseret News, who wrote this really interesting article. And we're interested in hearing from you, and we'll take your calls. 801-575-TALK. Should college come with an earnings warning? You can call us at 801-575-TALK or text us 57500, and we'll be back after the break.
You probably know if you need new windows. You hear the wind whistling. There's condensation between the panes. Maybe your heating bill's too high, but you don't want to pull the trigger because it costs a lot of money. I understand. And they understand at Advanced Window Products. After all, they've been creating custom state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. They know what's up. That's why they offer 60-month 0% financing or buy now, pay later. You get the windows this winter for 30 to 40% less because you're buying straight from the factory. They'll build, they'll install your windows, and you don't have to pay for a year or more. At Advanced, they're committed to making your new windows affordable. And if you call now, they'll knock another $2,500 off your quote. State-of-the-art, energy-saving windows built here for Utah's changing climate. And right now, $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. When life gets overwhelming, some things tend to fall by the side.
I'm Carlos Sanchez from Draper, Utah. I was managing a business, helping out a business, doing paperwork and getting paid, and my wife got sick. We filed taxes, but then we got audited. And when I went and talked to the IRS, they didn't give me any choice. The IRS pretty much said, this is what you owe us, when are you gonna pay us? And we're talking quite a bit. But every time I drive, I listen to the radio. Jordan Wilcox. So I figure there's a reason this guy's on the radio. So I called him.
Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today.
The amount that the IRS came up with, close to $250,000, and the offer and compromise was about $7,600. That's it.
This is Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com.
Go for it. The outcome, it was worth it. I'm okay.
endtaxworry.com.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s,
affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You've heard me talk now for years about the Connecticut soft water system that we have in our home. As we head into the colder weather, if you're dealing with dry and itchy skin, do you notice your skin is cracking, it's uncomfortable, and the lotion doesn't seem to give you the relief you need? Hard water may be a hidden contributor to that pain and discomfort of dry, itchy skin. I've got Monty here from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer and an expert in overcoming challenges with hard water here in Utah.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. When you shower in hard water, the minerals don't rinse away completely, forming a film in your skin, leaving you feeling tight, dry, and constantly itching.
So the hard water minerals are essentially leaving a sticky residue on my body and even in my hair?
Exactly. Connecticut removes the minerals before they touch your skin, leaving you feeling silky, smooth, and comfortable.
Do what I did and stop buying expensive lotions and start treating the source of the problem. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Well, the U.S. Department of Education has launched what they're calling an earnings indicator that works in conjunction with their student aid program. And according to the Department of Education, it's designed to provide students and their families with clear, easy to understand information about a school's postgraduate earnings. In other words, what you're going to make after graduating from a school in connection with what you're going to pay going to the school, and whether or not it makes more sense to attend college or go to high school. And for the most part, Utah schools do very well, and they're the earnings indicator shows that it's a good trade-off to go to college in Utah among our 16 schools, as opposed to just going straight out of high school.
They also looked at trade schools, and they looked at cosmetology schools, which can be part of a trade school or they can be separate. But, we're still interested in taking your calls. It's 801-575-TALK. And wonder if college should come with an earnings warning. Would that have helped you make decisions when you went to college? Call us at 801-575-TALK or text us. We do have several texters already, actually. So if you're okay with that, let's go to those.
Let's go.
So one texter reminds us that BYU Pathway Worldwide is a 3-year program to a bachelor's degree. Tuition is quite low, and it's based on where you live in the world. And also Ensign College, they have a scholarship for first-generation students if you're the first one to attend. Another texter says that they're a recent film grad from BYU and kind of regret getting an arts degree, and then basically got qualified for freelance work and struggled to find full-time work. So I think that was an interesting one. And this texter says, I'm an audiologist, which requires 8 years of schooling, and a lot of students are forced to take out a lot of student loans. Unfortunately, once you start practicing, you realize that as rewarding as it is, it doesn't pay enough for the amount of money and time you put into the degree. And because of this, a lot of people are leaving the field. And they think that a lot of people would have changed their minds if they knew initially what the starting pay would be. And then finally, a shout out to Davis Technical College. This texter says they're fantastic. The tuition value for the skills and jobs they offer. They have excellent cosmetology and other degrees.
And I think there are other reasons to attend post-high school education than just how much money you're going to make. But I do appreciate the fact that this earnings indicator is out there, especially when you consider student loans. But I mean, there's nothing, to me, there's little or no downside to continue your education, no matter where you are, even if it's not to make more money. But I do appreciate what the Department of Education is doing, because student loan debt is just, I think that they said that the average student loan right now is $30,000,
which actually seems low, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's lower than I expected, but it's about $500 increase over what it was a year ago. So it continues to go up every year.
I think what's interesting too, though, is if you're looking at a college in general or a university, in the aggregate, that's going to not give you as much information, right? Are you going to make more money if you get a degree in communication and PR than you do if you get in English literature? You could probably make an argument that you would, right? That the degrees are different. They can be very, very different in how much money you can expect to get.
Right. And a lot of people who went to college, at least in my generation, and got liberal arts degrees knew that it wasn't necessarily a pathway to more money. It was a pathway to sometimes a good graduate school. I mean, my law school class probably had a lot more English and history majors than engineering and physics majors. You know what I mean? I was an engineering graduate myself, but because a lot of people knew that they were going to do something else than just practice in the field where they went to college. Not that an English or history major is a bad idea. I wished I had an English degree. I would have learned to write better. But I was thinking about working and not going to law school, which is why I got the engineering degree.
Look, this earnings indicator, one of the things that they're talking about, and this is in Jason Swenson's article that we just talked about, is that more than 2% of undergraduate students nationwide attend an institution where graduates in general, so in the overall picture, earn less than a high school graduate. That's where I think the big distinction is can you go on to a job with no post-secondary training and make more money than somebody who's attending one of these institutions?
What I'm wondering, though, is this earnings indicator, let's say that it does flag that, and it does say, hey, if you go to this particular school and you get this particular degree, you're not going to do any better than you would if you stayed in high school. Some students might say, I want to study English literature.
Well,
I want to study.
That's a whole nother argument for sure, right? About the humanities, right? That's a whole other argument. And, one of the benefits of college degrees, I think, is it helps people learn how to think critically. There's real practice in learning how to think critically about, I think, learning to see multiple sides of an issue, because there are multiple sides on pretty much every issue. And, being able to entertain ideas that maybe were foreign to you before, you're like, oh, maybe this isn't how the world works after all. It is interesting. We do have another texter. This one feels a little personal.
Uh-oh.
It says, If I could do it over again, I would not go to college. I'm encouraging my kids not to go to college either and just go to trade or tech school. I actually got my degree in broadcast journalism, and my first job with KSL Radio, I quickly discovered the pay that I was offered was not going to help me sustain a family and had to quit and find a new industry to work in.
Yeah, well, that's understandable as well. You know what we did, though? I of course, I talked about myself. I knew I had to go to college, so I went to college. But my siblings didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of a generation when, it wasn't necessarily a thing you had to do. And my father didn't appreciate. He didn't go to college, so he didn't appreciate it. He kind of thought, well, why don't you just go get a job?
Right.
But with our own children, we insisted and sort of had money set aside for their college education so that none of them had to take out student loans. And then we kind of told them, you're on your own now.
Yeah.
We'll get you through college, but don't expect much more. But in America in this day and age, a college degree, like they said, leaves you with about $30,000 in student loan debt. But if you have a graduate degree, I know people
It's
that
6
graduated
figures.
from medical school who have student loan debt in the like $250,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
that's going to be that's a significant house payment. I mean, that's a debt that you're going to be saddled with for a decade or longer, no matter how well you do on the outside.
Yeah. Look, we only have a few minutes, but there was a story about a poll just earlier this month where something like 2/3 of Americans don't think a 4-year degree is worth the money that it costs, the time and money that it costs to go get it. Utah's a little bit of an outlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, Utah still, we still put a value on higher education, but these numbers kind of surprised me. And, I felt like college was the next step too, and just was an assumption. But in Utah, 61% of our residents have a college degree. And that is lower than I thought, but it's significantly higher than the national average, which is only 54%.
Yeah, I think it's a very high number and pretty impressive. I would have thought about 50-50, but
So yeah,
I mean, yeah.
It just feels like everybody goes to college, but it's not actually true. And there is a difference between saying we're going to go get a 4-year degree and then also we're doing post-secondary education, meaning we're going to go do some training after high school and how that looks. And that can be very lucrative, right? We talked about welding before, being a welder or being an electrician. My son's in a program to become an electrician. It's not a 4-year university degree, but it is a degree and certifications and things, and it's a 4-year training
that's going
doing.
to be significantly more than what you'd get out of high school if you didn't have that education. I mean, and that's the benefit to these technical colleges. And I don't know much about the one that they flagged as a little bit lower earning, but like you say, it may have some programs that don't necessarily bring out a lot of money, like cosmetology, which people do because they enjoy it. They want to be, the social and other aspects of it, not necessarily to make a lot of money.
And some people do make decent money, but yeah, I would say that's not one of the higher paid professions. But, I think sometimes we paint with too broad of a brush and we say any kind of training after high school equals, a university degree. And that's not true, but it's also not true that people don't go on to get additional training after high school. Most people out there in the workforce are not, they're not just at a high school graduate level. They're past that.
And what I've seen more and more is a shift toward at least looking at the trade schools, at least viewing that and,
That's right.
and recognizing that with the dearth of people that are working in some of those trades, that's an education that you can get and make a fair amount of money. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about what experts are warning could be a huge problem with the Colorado River if we don't get more snow and cut our water use. We'll learn more about that after the break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. We're being told the dams around the state are safe thanks to a successful inspection program. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi reports.
Up to 340 dams are inspected in Utah every year. In fact, the Sevier Bridge Dam that holds back the water in Yuba Reservoir just received a national award. The dam was considered high hazard due to the consequences if it failed, but it's been rehabilitated. The project to stabilize the dam against earthquakes involved drilling 800 boreholes and filling them with rocks.
The inspections do not include Flaming Gorge or Deer Creek dams, which are federal dams. Representative Mike Kennedy has been able to get the Utah Wildfire Research Institute Act passed through the House. The bill focuses on wildfire prevention and creating fire-resilient forests and rangelands. The bill also helps Utah State University open a research institute to discover ways to better mitigate the risks of wildfires, protect communities, and improve the management of forests and rangelands.
The Utah Wildfire Institute will ensure that we are not simply reacting to each crisis as it comes, but planning ahead.
Kennedy has been working with other members of Congress from Utah to get the bill passed. Our top national story this hour, President Donald Trump says he is ordering a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers into Venezuela, ramping up pressure on the country's authoritarian leader, Nicolas Maduro. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 104 right now. That's 0.2%. We're at 48,009. Coming up, a wind advisory in effect for today and maybe some rain. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This holiday season, give the gift of love that lasts a lifetime with Duke's Jewelers. For over 75 years, the Dukes family has been part of Utah Valley's story, helping yours celebrate life's most cherished moments since 1948. Dukes is more than a jewelry store. They're craftsmen, creating timeless pieces and custom designs that capture the magic of the holidays. Whether it's a sparkling necklace, a custom ring, or restoring a family heirloom, Duke's Jewelers pours their heart into every gift. Because jewelry isn't just about sparkle, it's about love and legacy. This Christmas, make your loved one feel like part of the Dukes family. Find the perfect gift at Duke's Jewelers, located at 220 South Main in Springville, or shop online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, celebrating love and tradition since 1948.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2025. Last chance! Donate now for a 2025 tax deduction.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards, and here's Cormac Bone.
Well, we got a crash eastbound on I-80 near Parley Summit. They're in the right shoulder, and we aren't seeing any delays in their wake. We also have delays northbound on I-15 from the point of the mountain to Bangerter Highway. Those are residual, I think, after a crash earlier this morning near the point of the mountain and Timpanogos Highway. And delays eastbound on Mountain View Corridor in Lehigh approaching Redwood Road. Again, approaching I-15 slow on... that would be 2100 north. The rescue mission of Salt Lake restores lives of homeless and hurting people by addressing the cause of homelessness and helping people return to work. Help Rescue Mission restore lives. Donate at rescuesaltlake.org. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
There is a wind advisory in effect until 5 p.m. today. Winds up to 55 miles an hour in the valley. We're also going to see some rain, a high about 56 degrees. Right now it's 54. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
We do have some breaking news involving a story that we've been following here on KSL News Radio. A couple of days ago, we interviewed KSL News Radio's Adam Small about Jair Solis, who was a Utah resident taken into ICE custody and taken to California, I believe. Arizona. Tell us what's happened with him.
Yeah, so news we just got today that Jair has been released from the Arizona detention facility. He was released as of yesterday afternoon. He has met up with his family, and from what I'm told, he shall be home at some point today. He's on his way home.
Can you remind our listeners about his situation and what it was?
Yeah, this caught our attention, and I think a lot of people's in general, because it was so bizarre because Jair was going into his green card interview at USCIS. And that's one of the last hurdles for getting your green card. He's, entered the country legally. He has a wife who's a U.S. citizen. They have a child together. Those cases are normally very cut and dry. You go into your interview, done, green card's in the mail. But ICE detained him right before the interview and took him to that detention facility in Arizona. He ended up having a bond hearing on Monday for $5,000, which was granted by a judge, paid, and again, it processed, so they let him out of detention, and he's now on his way home to Utah with his family.
And the issue, and then I'll cut it out here, is whether or not he had a criminal history, and it appears that in terms of the criminal law in the state of Utah, at least, he's not a convicted criminal.
We have done numerous record checks. He has no history of anything in Utah's courts that have criminal jurisdiction. He was accused of some things in juvenile court, which were blown out of proportion by some social media posts. It was a whole fiasco. But again, juvenile court, we've talked about on this show, is civil allegations. There are not criminal charges. All the record checks we've done, he has no criminal history. His attorney stands by that. And judge saw with this that, okay, you're not a threat to the community. Pay the $5,000. We'll let you out. And right now his attorneys are in the process of getting completely out of, because when you send someone to an ICE detention facility, you kind of open deportation proceedings. His attorneys right now are trying to close that to where there is no more deportation case altogether, and then they can reopen, finish getting him his green card.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, let's talk about water, especially the Colorado River, actually. So I saw a story this morning that I thought was so interesting about a person who was walking across the Colorado River to make a point. It's very low right now.
Yeah, no, the Colorado River, we saw from previous research that, if you look at the flows of the Colorado River, which is basically how much water will flow through it in a year, as far as I understand, those have dropped about 20% since the year 2000. You've seen a drastic decrease in snowpack, rising temperatures, and then also just research showing that we're using too much of the river's water. There was a study I covered almost 2 years ago now. Those researchers found that we're using more than half of that annual water for crop production, farming, and that's also a part of it. The Colorado River's not doing good, and in turn, that's affecting Lake Powell, and a good chunk of the Colorado River actually runs through Utah. So this is very much a Utah problem, as it is a problem for other western states.
And the problem seems to be exacerbated, Adam, by what we're seeing right outside our door today, which is no snow, because the Colorado River it relies pretty heavily on snowpack during the winter months to get flow, and if we don't have that, rain or not, it's going to be it could potentially be a big problem.
Yeah, it could be. There's actually a new report that was done. As I'm looking up the name of the group here again, it is the Colorado River Research Group. They're based out of Colorado Law. They did a full report on the current state of the Colorado River, and one of the biggest takeaways I took from their report is they warned if we have one or two more bad winters, talking right now, then we could hit the point where Lake Powell and Lake Mead, the two biggest reservoirs in America, could drop so low that the Hoover Dam and the Glen Canyon Dam that hold them up will not be able to produce hydroelectricity, which most western states, including Utah, rely on some of that power, as well as big cities, including Phoenix, Los Angeles. I believe Las Vegas taps into some of that as well. It not only creates a water scarcity, it creates a power scarcity.
Wow.
And we're talking, this winter doesn't turn around by the end of March. I mean, you could be talking bad situation. And to kind of just look at that water level, for listeners who don't know, it was early 2023, Lake Powell hit its lowest level on record. It was just about 22% of capacity. Well, right now we're sitting at 28%.
Oh, wow.
Lake Powell is not in good shape still. I mean, we had a huge winter that, everyone remembers the record winter a couple of years ago. It literally doubled Lake Powell's capacity. It gave Lake Powell some breathing room. But, I mean, last winter was and then this winter so far hasn't been good. And, I mean, you're talking about all that water demand, and Lake Powell contractually, as part of the compact between Utah and the other Colorado River states, they legally have to release a certain amount of water every year to go down to Nevada, Arizona, California, so that they can use that water. These states all share this water, and when you're not getting enough snowpack, it's too hot, you're starting to release more water than you have available, and you see that capacity has continued to go down and down and down to the point of when it was at a record low a couple of years ago, we were already flirting with problems with that hydroelectricity issue. Now you're only 6% above that, and you're kind of relying on Mother Nature to have to bail you out again. And so far, winter's kind of been a dud to start.
Yeah, it has been a dud. So let me ask you this. You mentioned agriculture, but we also need food. What are solutions? I mean, I feel like people have been talking about this for years now, but they're still talking, and the problem's still getting worse.
Yeah, and I think you've been talking for a long time because I do think researchers and scientists are very ahead of the game. They look far down the road, and I think they were starting to see, okay, we could start running into problems as climate change becomes more and more in the forefront. But now we're sitting at the point of we're seeing the ramifications and the repercussions of climate change and overuse in that. Because, I mean, you go back, 10, 20 years, Lake Powell wasn't a concern. It was just, it's a place we go boating and have houseboats. Like,
right,
no
sure,
one thought about
yeah.
it. But now we're at a point of, guys, this reservoir is like not even, like right now it's about a quarter full. Like, this is kind of concerning. And so I think it's always been something to look at, but I think we've kind of hit the point of we're starting to hit not just, looking forward at what the problem could be. We're now looking at the current problem.
And you can't legislate Mother Nature, Adam. So there's got to be some notion that we're going to these 7 states that share this water and maybe revisit the shares that they're taking. Because if we're not getting more water, and we're not going to, let's face it, the climate is changing, and we're a desert, and we're just not going to be getting more and more water over the years. There has to be some usage restrictions, it would seem.
Yeah, so all the different stakeholders, including Utah and all these different states that rely on the Colorado River, they have been trying to negotiate a new water usage agreement. It seems like almost a year now. I know it's been at least several months. I believe there's actually a meeting in Las Vegas today where they should have another meeting. And from what I have been told, at least, or what I've heard, the Trump administration should actually have some representatives there as well. I believe the last time the Colorado River had a multi-state agreement placed was either 2006 or 2007. So it's been quite a while, and obviously the climatology has changed, and the water situation's changed quite a bit in almost 20 years. So they have until February to get this new agreement in place, and a big thing that they've been fighting over is, yes, we know we have to make cuts, but who's making the cuts? Who's going to have to take the biggest flesh wound on how much water you're giving up? Because just to kind of put it in perspective real quick for our listeners, so we talk about the Colorado River. It's like, okay, well, we live here in the Wasatch Front. Like, what are we supposed to do? The Colorado River, while it may not have a huge impact on us here, Utah has rights to just over 11% of that annual water. So that provides about a quarter of all the water Utah allocates every single year. That's a ton of water. Yeah. So while it may not have a huge impact Wasatch Front-wise, this is an issue that I think all Utahns should keep a close eye on because, I mean, we're dealing with a similar situation here in the north with the Great Salt Lake. We've talked about not just climate change here, but also potential water overuse. Agriculture is a huge water diversion source from the Great Salt Lake, and you look at the issues, they're very similar, and you're seeing two critical water resources in Utah going through very similar problems. So it's something that I know people have felt really fatigued about. We keep saying conserve water, conserve water. Keep an eye on it. Voice your concern to respective lawmakers, your congressmen. Like, this is something that affects all of us. And while Colorado River may be hours and hours away from us, Lake Powell's not close, it is something that affects us, whether it's water or hydroelectricity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was Adam Small, KSL News Radio. And look, when we come back after the break, we're going to tell you about a crazy, crazy story in Florida where a man's car was being towed away with his 4-year-old inside of it.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/radio for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Well, winter is coming fast, and for a lot of kids here in Utah who don't have warm coats and shoes, they need something to help them get through the cold months ahead. KSL's Quarters for Christmas has been helping local kids for years, turning your donation into warm coats and shoes for kids right here in our community. Know that every dollar you give goes directly toward providing coats and shoes for kids who need them most. It's easy to make a difference. Just go online to kslquarters.com, donate what you can, and know you're helping keep a child warm this winter. Join us in spreading a little comfort and a lot of kindness with KSL's Quarters for Christmas.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You know, you're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
From holiday hosting to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. And now, during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off with promo code SKY at checkout. I was lucky enough to receive Omaha Steaks as a gift, and it was everything I had hoped for. Items were individually packaged so I could cook for the entire family. Or if I was the only one home, I would treat myself with a delicious steak, sides, and even dessert. I loved those nights by myself. Right now is the perfect time to save on delicious gifts and holiday hosting favorites. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. It's holiday magic made easy. Save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code SKY at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code SKY.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
The new Inside Sources.
We're learning about a really bizarre situation that happened in Florida. A man went into a restaurant to pick up some food, claimed he was only in there for a couple of minutes. When he walked out, his car was being towed away with his 4-year-old daughter still inside the car. ABC's Hannah Battah has more.
It happened in just seconds. A man in Sunrise, Florida was waiting for his food in a restaurant when just outside, this tow truck backs up and tows away his car. He runs outside, banging on the window, yelling that his 4-year-old daughter is still in the car. The dad chasing the tow truck, yelling for the driver, Sergio Suarez, to stop.
Oh, his kid in there.
But court documents say Suarez did not stop. That prompted the girl to jump out of the moving car and into the middle of the road. Her father says he ran into traffic to grab her. Police body cam video shows the tow truck driver later being taken into custody and the father being handed back the keys to the car.
Is she okay? No? Yeah, she's good, yeah.
His lawyer claims Suarez checked the car 3 times before towing it. He's now charged with child neglect. The girl suffered minor injuries to her arms and her leg.
I mean, that's just a story that's almost too bizarre to be true. I mean,
it's funny. I wouldn't say bizarre. I'd say terrifying.
Right.
Yes, I understand
kid.
what you're saying. The tow truck driver said he didn't see her, and he's facing charges. And, you know, you and I on this show before, we've talked about carjacking and that, you know, you don't leave your kids in the car while you're going in, or you don't leave the car running, whatever. And in this instance, he ran inside for just a minute to pick up the food. And when he came out, his car was being towed.
So
just terrifying.
I've seen a lot of people's cars being towed, and it's hard to imagine a tow truck hooking up a car in 2 minutes. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen, but Dad was saying I was only inside for a minute. I came outside and my car's being towed away. I mean,
maybe it's predatory towing. I don't know.
It takes a little while to hook the car up. And then the tow truck driver who said, I looked in the car, 4 times and didn't see the kid. I mean, there are only so many places the 4-year-old could have been.
I think that's unbelievable. I don't believe that one. That one is like really, unless she was hiding under a blanket, seems unlikely.
So once you have the truck towed and you're going and Dad is pounding on your window saying, I've got a kid in the car.
Stop. Yeah.
Yeah, you at least stop. Although I would say this, I mean, there's a lot of tension when a car gets towed. And the car owner, the vehicle owner, usually is not happy. I've got to get my briefcase out of this and that, which the tow truck drivers don't care about. But they do care about a person in the car. Maybe the tow truck driver just didn't believe it and thought, hey, I looked in the car, there was nobody there.
So it's interesting. So I've Googled some of the stories coming out of Florida from this, and this one story from a TV station, actually in Atlanta, said the car was in a fire zone, but there weren't any parking signs saying that they couldn't be there. And so this tow truck driver just hooked him up, and they had witnesses who started shouting, hey, his kid's in there, Just keeps on going.
But so car's in a fire zone. The business owner says, hey, there's a car in our zone. They call the tow truck driver. It has to be dispatched, has to come up.
I'm just saying maybe he was a predatory tow truck driver. He's sitting there waiting for people to park in the wrong place. It's happened in our own state.
No question. And because there's money to be made with
Yep.
But in this case, the tow truck driver was then charged criminally with one count of what they're calling neglect of a child without great bodily harm. In other words, child abuse that didn't result in bodily injury. Still pretty
Not
serious.
Not significant injury.
Right, yeah,
she did get scraped up, of course. She landed on the road.
Right. And so, yeah, talk about the wherewithal of the child. She's in a car. Dad's pounding on the window. She must know at that point, I got to get out of here. Yeah. And she bails out of the car while it's moving.
And look, I'm just going to say as a mom, how I'm glad there was no child lock on that door because she wouldn't have been able to get out.
Right. Yeah, right. And which, I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad that she got out, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, in one respect, you want the child to be free, but not.
It is probably safer in the car being towed than jumping onto a road.
Although who knows where it was going to go and how Dad was going to be reunited with that. You know, you can't not fault the tow truck driver. That was wrong. You have to make sure what you're towing. You have to make sure that there's somebody inside it. He says he obviously he didn't look very well because you would see a 4-year-old. There's also a little bit of culpability, and the article here is very, very sympathetic toward Dad, but we've had so many situations where you just don't leave your kid in the car.
Yeah, I think that's true, right? And there's no indication that I can see that there's any kind of legal consequences for the dad. To your point, it takes longer than 2 minutes to hook up. There's a TV station that posted on Facebook this story, and a lot of the commenters are pretty skeptical that he was only in the restaurant for 2 minutes.
Right.
But like I said, there's no indication that the father's facing any kind of charges at all. It's just the tow truck driver.
And maybe he shouldn't because he's suffered on a number of other levels, and sometimes prosecutors will say, look, you know, what you did was a little bit foolish, leaving a kid in a car unattended, but you suffered enough by what you went through, the trauma of it, and even the child's injuries, which were thankfully not significant. I can't even imagine what this would have been like for bystanders and people. They've seen some guy running outside. He's pounding on a tow truck, and then a little kid comes bailing out of the car on the road. Oh my gosh!
So this tow truck driver, he's bonded out of jail already. So he was picked up, booked into jail, paid a bond, and he's out as of Monday, actually. So. It's interesting, and the judge does fault him for not checking to see if there's anyone in the vehicle at first, and of course you mentioned his attorney said, well, he did check. Well, I mean, come on,
not too well, right? So it's not a crime of intent. He didn't intend to hurt a child, but we do allow, especially with crimes like child abuse, there to be negligence or recklessness or other conduct that creates injury or harm or potential harm to a child where you could be culpable even if you didn't intend, because obviously it wasn't his intent to cause his kid harm. He was intending to tow away a truck or a car in world record time.
In world record time. So, you know, sometimes we have these really funky stories that are like, wow, wait, what?
Yeah. This one's just, I don't know. I still think there's a message to be said for both people, which is don't leave a kid in the car. And if you are going to move a car, make sure you know exactly what's in the car and what you're doing.
I do have one texter that says if the tow truck has a self-loading apparatus, it can hook the car and leave in about 2 minutes, actually. And then another one, of course, which is what you said. Should you be leaving a 4-year-old and your keys in a car while going into a building?
Right. But yeah, and I know you could hook up a car in 2 minutes, but you got to get to the car.
Yeah.
You got to get pulled up to the car. You got to get the chains hooked onto the car.
Well, what this other texter is saying is that there is a way to do it in 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So anyway, all we're saying is this is a crazy story. Yes, the driver has his car back. He has the keys back. Of course, the most important thing is he has his daughter back, and the tow truck driver was booked into jail and is bonded out, and we'll see what comes of this, but it's certainly terrifying from a mom perspective.
Right, and what's his employer going to do, and what kind of policies are they going to put into place so that this doesn't happen again? I mean,
well, so far they're not responding to the media.
They'll stand up to the plate and say that what we did was wrong. Oh. We're going to fix it. This will never happen again.
Look, okay, now we're going to pivot to some more fun stuff. The Trump administration is adding more than a dozen countries to its travel ban or restriction list, including Tonga. I'm going to explain why this could have a bigger impact in Utah by talking to Representative Doug Fiafia, whose parents came from Tonga. So stay with us, and we'll be back after this break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. We learned over the past hour a Utah man arrested by ICE before his final green card interview has been released from a detention center in Arizona. An attorney representing Jair Celis says he is now making his way back to Utah. We will have more on this developing story throughout the day. Our top national story this hour. The House will vote on a bill to extend health care subsidies after 4 Republicans joined the Democrats' discharge petition, which forces a vote.
Just because this vote is now going to occur doesn't mean it's going to pass, but it is very notable here that you've got 4 moderate Republicans at this hour joining onto a Democratic-backed petition that is going to force a vote on extending these tax credits. They are defying the wishes of House Republican leadership at this hour, including Speaker of the House Mike Johnson.
ABC's Jay O'Brien reporting. President Trump plans to address the nation tonight. The White House says the president will discuss his accomplishments in office. It's also expected he'll address border security and the economy and possibly give an update on the growing tensions with Venezuela. That speech will be at 7 o'clock tonight, and we will carry it live here on KSL News Radio. Your money at this moment, let's see what's going on with the markets. The Dow is down 75 now. That's just shy of 0.2%. We're at 48,038. Coming up, it's going to get windy today. We might see some rain. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
In today's digital world, outdated technology can slow you down. You need a partner who keeps you ahead of the curve. At Les Olson IT, we help your business thrive with top-tier office technology, from copiers and IT hardware to advanced IT services and security solutions. With Les Olson IT, you get more than just products. You get solutions, service, and a team that cares. Les Olson IT, empowering businesses with the tools for success.
Les Olson IT.
You know, most diets will help you lose a few pounds, but Soda weight loss will help you lose years. I lost 37 pounds on the Soda weight loss program 3 years ago, and I feel younger than I've felt in decades. And it's not because of how I look, it's because of how I feel.
But you do look younger,
Thank
too.
you.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and then I looked at the before and after pictures of myself and was like, wow.
It's something when you don't have to carry all of that excess weight around. And I was at a stage in my life where I didn't want to add drugs to my regimen. I wanted to reduce the number of medications I had to take. So the nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss taught me how to have a healthy relationship with food.
And it was so helpful that I could text my nutritionist anytime I wanted to for advice, which helped me learn what I needed to know so that I could keep it off. And right now, this is the perfect time to join, because if you join now, your partner joins for free. It's the perfect gift for both of you.
It's at Soda Weight Loss.
SOTAweightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Ebenezer Scrooge, you have yet a chance of escaping my fate. Ah, humbug. You still have time to get a Mountain America Rewards credit card and earn 3 times the points on every dollar spent, but only through the stroke of midnight on December 31st.
I suppose I can learn to enjoy the holidays with triple rewards.
Apply today and learn more at macu.com/triple.
Membership required based on eligibility. Loans on approved credit offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Business cards not eligible.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Cormac Bone.
Heavy delays southbound I-215's west belt approaching the construction zone near I-80. You also have spotty delays both directions on the 201 freeway through Magna, especially slow at 8000 west. And pockets of slowing on Pioneer Crossing in that construction zone, both directions from Saratoga Road to I-15. It's especially slow eastbound approaching I-15. But on I-15 itself, you've got no problems, accidents, or delays from Ogden to Provo, both directions. Looking for the ultimate holiday gift? That's what you get at Minky Couture, the original luxury blanket company. Use code KSL50 online and in stores to receive 50% off. Visit minkycouture.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
The wind is really going to pick up throughout the day, and we have some rain starting to fall in some areas around the Wasatch Front. Today's high 56, 48 and drier tomorrow, then 56 again on Friday with another chance of rain Friday and Saturday. Right now it's 55 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
President Trump yesterday expanded his travel ban list to 39 countries, and that is a complete ban on some and a partial ban on others. And one of the ones that was on this list yesterday was, to me, is really kind of a head scratcher. It's the country of Tonga, the Kingdom of Tonga. And, you know, I had to look at the White House proclamation to say why he did this, why the president put them on the list. And it said because of the overstay report, Tonga had a business visa overstay of 6.45%, and then basically educational/professional visa overstays of 14.44%. And you know, there's no indication that there's any threat. There's nothing like that. There's nothing saying, you know, we feel like it's not safe for any reason. It's just visa overstays. So, you know, that's been a big topic of discussion. But Utah has one of the highest populations of Tongan Americans in the continental United States. We have about 25% of the diaspora, so about 18,000 Tongans live in Utah. And one of those with ties back to Tonga is Representative Doug Fiafia. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Holly, it's great to be with you.
I'm wondering if you could tell us what your initial response might be to hearing that Tonga is now on this list for, I guess, heightened surveillance for people getting visas approved.
Sure, and I appreciate the question and appreciate to be here with you. As someone whose family is from Tonga, I understand why this raises concerns, but I guess I also believe that President Trump's policy is really about national security, not nationality. I think his administration is making sure that every country meets U.S. standards for identity verification, data sharing, and counterterrorism cooperation. And so when Tonga or any nation is placed on these partial restriction lists, I think it's not about targeting anyone. It's really about making sure that the right systems are in place to protect Americans and ensure that travel is secure and verifiable. And so I think that's what this really is about.
Representative Fiafia, what do you understand partial restrictions to mean? Because there were some countries that have a total ban. Others, like what we're talking about here, is partial. Maybe you could educate our listeners to what you understand the difference to be.
Yeah, I think just to kind of take a step back I think the term travel ban is thrown out there, and I think it's frankly misleading. I think in reality, most of these policies are temporary or partial measures to really encourage compliance with U.S. security standards. They're designed to motivate governments to upgrade systems, not to stop travel or immigration altogether. And I think President Trump has been clear. America's door is open, but it's secure, and I think that's a reasonable position for any nation to take.
Let me follow up then. What is your concern personally with Tonga and potential security issues for the United States?
I don't know that there's any, security measures or concerns from Tonga specifically, but I do think that I think the approach to overstaying in visas, I think that's just a message to not only Tonga, but any other country that there are rules in place and there may need some tightening from both the visiting country and from the U.S. to ensure that when we give visas out, that we're keeping the rules and we're aligned. I think this is just one area of immigration policy that Trump is tightening. And although it affects my family directly, I completely support this because I don't think that security discriminates. I think it actually protects everyone.
So what would your message be, Representative Fiafia, to your friends and family in the Pacific Islander community about this ban and about what's happening? You seem like you're trying to be understanding of the administration and maybe trying to give the message, don't overreact to this.
Yeah, I think my message is this, is we can support strong national security and still honor our roots. These two things aren't in conflict. America's safety depends on responsible travel and clear vetting, and those measures protect our families too. I want Tongan Americans to know that we can advocate for better systems while also respecting the process that keeps our country safe. And in the end, strong partnerships, better tracking, and compliance, I think, benefits both sides. And I think this is just a signal to all countries, including the Kingdom of Tonga, that we need to be better and we need to keep the rules that both countries set in place.
I have a question that maybe you can't answer, maybe it's not fair to ask because it's about BYU Hawaii, and they focus on educating students of Oceania, right, the Pacific area. And so I think this is going to have a direct impact since they're looking at specifically student visas. Do you have concerns about that and students from Tonga being able to get an education in the United States?
Yeah, so look, I've been in connection with our federal delegation around this because, again, the Tonga being on this list directly affects my community, my family. And so I think what this does is it starts a conversation to bring the Kingdom of Tonga, BYU, the state of Utah, other players, stakeholders, to see what is the best way we move forward. What does the administration want to see in order for us to move forward? And so, yes, I think it affects in the short term, but in the long term, I think it proves to be a better system for everyone.
Let me then ask a follow-up, if I may. You mentioned opening a conversation. What are you hoping the conversation might look like? Are you hoping to sit down with administration officials and get this lifted? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think working through our federal delegation and potentially the administration to say what is needed in order for Tonga or maybe other countries to be removed from this partial travel list, and then coming up with some guidelines and helping these countries ensure that they're up to snuff when it comes to their regulations and their verifications and their policies. And so I think it's making sure that we understand what the administration wants to see, and then helping the countries make sure that their policies are in place and meet up to the standards.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. That was Representative Doug Fiafia, who has Tongan ancestry. So I wanted to also talk about the other countries that are on this list.
Because there are partial bans and there's almost
and there are full restriction
right.
complete bans. Yeah, that's right. So the full restriction complete ban, 5 additional countries: Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, South Sudan, and Syria. Actually, those countries make sense to me. Full restrictions and entry limitations on 2 countries that were previously subject to partial restrictions. So they've moved up, and that's Laos and Sierra Leone. And then partial restrictions of nationals from 4 additional countries: Burundi, Cuba, Togo, and Venezuela. And then because Turkmenistan engaged productively with the United States and has demonstrated significant progress, they are lifting the ban on non-immigrant visas for Turkmenistan. And then partial restrictions on 15 countries: Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Dominica, Gabon, the Gambia, Malawi, Mauritania, Nigeria, Senegal, Tanzania, Tonga, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. almost all African countries.
Yeah, that's a lot of countries. And interesting what's going on with the administration and how it will affect people coming into Utah. But we certainly have a great, outstanding Pacific Islander community here in Utah already. So
yeah, we really do.
We don't upset that.
Look, we have, speaking of various communities in our state, there are signs that are grabbing attention in storefronts across West Valley and Salt Lake. A typical sign, for example, says ice out or no ice allowed. We're going to hear from one of the organizers to learn more on the reasons behind these signs when we come back after the break.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/radio for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
We're joined in studio by Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern Team of Almada Real Estate. Russell, you work with buyers every day at the Stern Team, and with so many people waiting on rates to come down, what strategies can you tell people that really want to buy now?
Yeah, so really it's tough to time the market knowing when rates are actually going to come down, if they are going to come down. And if we look back over the last 2 years, rates have actually come down, right? We're not at our peak anymore. So really, we want to dive into their situation, see what's going to work best for them, and then talk about strategies of how we can actually help them maybe buy down the rate today or get some additional closing costs to maybe help with the down payment or things like that.
I have a quick question, and I'm wondering, does it make financial sense to buy now before the end of the year versus waiting into the new year?
Yeah, so a lot of people wait till the new year with all the holidays and things like that. And so right now, the sellers that are on the market are typically more motivated to get their home sold. So absolutely, if you're looking at buying, I would at least go look at what's out there, see if you can find that home. But I also wouldn't rush it, because there are a lot of people that do wait for the new year. And so if you don't find your home, it's okay, and keep shopping into the new year.
Russell, we keep hearing from sellers that there are certain areas where the market is working quickly, other areas where people are not moving much. What strategic mistakes are causing people to miss the mark, or why are some houses staying on the market for so much longer than others?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that people are doing is they're still testing the market. They want to try to get a higher price, and if you overprice a home right now in our market, it's going to sit. And then as it sits, then buyers think something's wrong with the home, and now they're lowballing when they come in with an offer. And so number one, pricing it so that you get that activity up front is going to actually make you more money than pricing it and trying to chase the market coming down.
Thanks for joining us, Russell. And remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. Visit sternteam.com to find out more.
Thursday, December 18th, join KSL News Radio from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. And then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great with 4 locations. NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show Thursday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life.
I wanted you to know, from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now, that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. it makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
Join Lagoon's construction team and help build the fun. Lagoon is now hiring full-time, year-round CDL heavy equipment operators, concrete finishers, and plumbers, 18 years or older. Apply to lagoonpark.com/jobs.
Inside Sources.
I hadn't noticed this before, Holly, but apparently there's some businesses here in the Salt Lake Valley, including West Valley and Salt Lake City, where business owners are posting signs on their doors, and I'm looking at one right now, "No ice allowed, ice out of Utah." It's a sign posted right on the entry door to a business saying, "Ice, keep out."
No shirt, no shoes, no service, no ice.
Right. And you know, we do allow business owners to restrict people from coming into their business. Like you say, no shoes, no shirt, no service. And sometimes you'll even see a sign that says, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone.
Yeah.
You can't do that for certain reasons, such as their race or ethnicity or their gender. You can't also, and we'll talk more about this with our guest in just a minute, restrict law enforcement from coming in the execution of a warrant. So if a police officer's got a warrant for somebody who's in your establishment,
yeah,
you have to let them in. But just to come in might be a different argument.
Well, we have with us on the line Sarah Buck. She's the co-leader of Salt Lake Indivisible, one of the organizations that are distributing these signs. Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Thanks for bringing this into the public light.
I'm wondering if you could talk to us about what was the genesis behind this campaign?
Well, so it really stems from know your rights. And while there are individual rights, there are also rights as business owners. And you guys touched on that in the public places in a business, you can't restrict law enforcement. But there are lots of private spaces in a business, and there are different rules regarding that. And in addition, you know, just for individuals to know their personal rights when dealing with ICE and, you know, what they can and cannot do. And what we believe is that knowledge is power. And so that was really the premise behind approaching business leaders is they're in a moment of having some power to help protect employees and make them feel safe in their workplace. And we just wanted to help them execute that power.
Sarah, can you tell our listeners about Salt Lake Indivisible, your organization, what it does, and what you're doing, and specifically what you're doing with respect to this particular issue?
Well, Salt Lake Indivisible was formed when Trump was first elected in 2016, and we've been in existence since, and we were Trump resistance for the first 4 years. Then we just worked on a lot of campaigns and issues in Utah, Prop 4 being one of the big ones we've worked on. In this particular instance, I think it's there are a lot of things that are really interesting to me about what's happening. First, you know, a common response is, why are you protecting criminals? I think there's a lot of misinformation about people who do not have legal status to be in the United States. Most of those people not having legal status is a misdemeanor. And a misdemeanor would be similar to like running a red light or not having your insurance card in your car. I don't see law enforcement treating people who run a red light the same way they're treating people who don't have legal status. And I would argue that people who run a red light are more dangerous in our society than someone who doesn't have legal status.
So Sarah, I'm sorry to jump in. I just wanted to ask how these businesses are responding.
Very, very supportive. I think that part of what we're seeing is, again, there's this attitude of legality. Well, a ton of what ICE is doing is not legal. And I think people really need to sit with that. It isn't legal to go into a school and take kids. It isn't legal to go into a business, into the private spots in a business and take people. It shouldn't be legal to cover your face and not have to show identification and to be able to take people off the streets or out of their cars. I think our society really needs to consider what's happening. And I think as it's becoming more real, people are recognizing the danger of what's being touted as normal law enforcement. This isn't normal. This is very abnormal. And when people start thinking about it and looking into that aspect, that's when they want to stand in the power of their rights. And due process is one of those that is being violated daily. You know, I'd add there have been 170 American citizens detained by ICE.
Sarah,
we should all wonder when we're next.
Right. I'm reading that some 400 signs have already been distributed around Salt Lake City and West Valley. How are businesses, how are they contacting you all to get this information, or how is the word getting out that they can have these signs if that's something they want to do?
So we're doing it on a canvassing. We're going into businesses with the information, the Know Your Rights in English and in Spanish. The signs we're making available to them the day we go in. And I think once they're educated, you know, one of the things that's happening commonly with ICE is that they come in with a warrant from that's not a federal warrant. It's from Homeland Security. Well, that is not a warrant that would require you to let them into your house or to let them into your business. So we have examples of those warrants. This is where I say information is power. We're not asking people to break laws. We're asking people to know their rights and to stand up against illegal actions that are happening daily in our cities and towns.
So, Sarah, do these signs connect people to resources, additional resources?
So they do have a QR code that takes you to a website that has the Know Your Rights information in both English and Spanish. But beyond that, no, they don't connect them to a legal representative. That's kind of another layer that we're building with. We're also going to be doing whistle training, and we've seen that utilized in other cities like Chicago, and that's probably our next phase of trainings that we're going to be offering. And that won't be just for businesses, that'll be for community members.
Sarah, have you heard at all from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agencies? Have they contacted you and tried to broker something or try to work with you, or is this something you're just working independent of them?
Yeah, I mean, we're just letting people know about their rights. We don't need to ask their permission to do that. And you know, I think it's interesting that there's kind of this pushback that somehow giving people knowledge, and we should, again, just think about what I'm saying. Giving people knowledge is suspect. That isn't the America I know. And I won't accept that America.
Do you plan on taking this outside of Salt Lake and specifically the West Valley area?
Well, we now have 12 indivisibles throughout the state, and it's being promoted throughout the state now. Our focus is, though, primarily, I mean, I think West Valley has seen a lot more ICE activity than Salt Lake, so that has been our primary focus. And we've worked with Comunidades Unidas to access businesses and, you know, have the ability to have Spanish speakers in our groups and things so that we're more effective when we are in those communities.
Thank you for joining us today. That was Sarah Buck, and she is the co-leader of Salt Lake Indivisible and one of the groups responsible for putting signs in businesses that say no ICE allowed. Now, when we come back, inside Trump's second-term plans, from White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles' J.D. Vance to the so-called, quote, junkyard dogs, Vanity Fair is pulling back the curtain on who's shaping the White House, and it is a barn burner. We're going to break it down next.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story, a Utah immigrant who was arrested by ICE right before his green card interview has now been released from ICE custody. Jair Salis was allowed to leave the ICE detention facility he was at in Arizona and should be back in Utah with his family sometime today.
It's just a real shame that we had to go through this, because this guy didn't deserve this.
Attorney Adam Craig says he hopes to be able to walk Salis into his green card interview sometime in the next 3 to 4 months. Craig says he's confident Salis will be approved. ICE accused Salis of being a child abuser because of some accusations made when he was a juvenile. Our top national story this hour, the White House is raising its pressure campaign on Venezuela, with President Trump announcing a blockade on all sanctioned oil tankers going to and from the country.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have expressed concerns about the legality of this campaign and that it could be dragging the U.S. into another war. And again, a full blockade would be an act of war that would require congressional approval. But President Trump seems to be trying to avoid that by targeting only sanctioned oil, making this more of a quarantine than a true blockade.
Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce reporting. The Trump administration is implementing travel bans for more than a dozen countries, including Tonga. This means it will likely be much harder for Tongans to emigrate to or get a visa to the U.S. The administration says those who already have a visa or permanent U.S. residency will not be affected. Utah has one of the largest Tongan populations outside of the country itself at about 18,000 people. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 71 points. Right now, we're at 48,043. Coming up, plenty of wind today and maybe some rain. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
You know, most diets will help you lose a few pounds, but Soda weight loss will help you lose years. I lost 37 pounds on the Soda weight loss program 3 years ago, and I feel younger than I've felt in decades. Andy, and it's not because of how I look, it's because of how I feel.
But you do look younger,
Thank
too.
you.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and then I looked at the before and after pictures of myself and was like, wow.
It's something when you don't have to carry all of that excess weight around. And I was at a stage in my life where I didn't want to add drugs to my regimen. I wanted to reduce the number of medications I had to take. So the nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss taught me how to have a healthy relationship with food.
And it was so helpful that I could text my nutritionist anytime I wanted to for advice, which helped me learn what I needed to know so that I could keep it off. And right now, this is the perfect time to join, because if you join now, your partner joins for free. It's the perfect gift for both of you.
It's at Soda Weight Loss.
SOTAweightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
We're back with Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern team of Omada Real Estate. And Russell, we're just 2 weeks away from the new year. If you're talking to would-be buyers, people who are entering the market, not necessarily as new buyers, but just buyers, what can you tell them about the level of optimism you might have for the new year and where our market's going to be here in Utah?
I kind of feel like a broken record a little bit. I think we've been kind of talking about higher interest rates since 2022. Our inventory is still good. It actually ticked down a little bit over the last month, but that's normal for fourth quarter. And so when we look at the market, we're about 4 to 6 months of inventory. We've got interest rates now low sixes. You know, you can buy it down into the fives. And so what we're telling them is, like, now is kind of that time before, if interest rates get much lower or, you know, as the economy continues to improve, we could end up seeing prices go up. And so at this point, it's kind of time to stop waiting and start looking and trying to find the right home as opposed to trying to time things.
And, you know, you just mentioned home values going up, and I think except for 2008, that's typically what happens, right, is they do increase. And so even if the interest rate stays what it is right now, which is, I think, pretty normal for a decent interest rate, actually, but you're going to end up paying more because your home is going to be priced higher, or the one that you're looking at buying, right?
Yeah, and so we've kind of, when interest rates were at 8%, that was high, right? That was it. Today's price is very unaffordable. Now that we're back into the low sixes and again, even getting into the fives, now we need to start looking of like, okay, let's figure out what we need to do to get you into a home, because as we start seeing appreciation goes, it could end up being a little bit more expensive if you choose to wait till, the spring buying season when everyone else enters the market.
Remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. Visit sternteam.com to find out more.
Thanks, Russell.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We'll rope it up.
Because we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Cormac Bone.
Roads looking really quiet all across the Wasatch Front right now. I-15 traveling at speed with no accidents or delays from Ogden to Provo. I-215 also problem-free no matter where you drive across the Salt Lake Valley, although I did just see some delays pop up northbound East Belt as you approach the mouth of Parley's Canyon. Really, the worst traffic is on the 201 freeway, though, through Magda, and it's light there, too. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 56 degrees today. Some scattered rain that's already falling in some areas, and we'll have wind. We could see valley gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Right now it's 55 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So there was look, Vanity Fair is not something I typically read, but they did a 2-part profile on Susie Wiles, Trump's White House chief of staff. And holy cow.
It's caught a lot of people's attention.
I think that is an understatement. And the reaction is super interesting, too, because these were conversations recorded really from the beginning of 2025 by a reporter who has covered the chiefs of staff for multiple administrations. And look, the people, it's not just Susie, but there's J.D. Vance and others that posed for photographs for these stories, and yet now they're saying, "Oh, wait a minute, I didn't mean to say that." They did say that, and we're going to talk right now with Lauren Irwin, who wrote an article about the Vanity Fair pieces. Thanks for joining us, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Can you please just set up what these 2 Vanity Fair articles talk about?
Yeah, for sure. So Susie Wiles gave 11 different interviews to Vanity Fair over the course of the year since right before Trump took office in January and through some of the biggest moments of the year. And she talked about a wide range of topics, including Elon Musk and all of the Doge cuts. She talked about ICE and immigration, foreign relations with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and it was a very, very candid take for her.
And that is kind of surprising because usually she stays in the background, right? She hasn't been one out there throwing herself in front of cameras.
Yes, exactly. She kind of stays off to the side and, runs things from the background. And so for her to, give such a candid interview or interviews over the course of the year is really surprising, and that's, I think, why the reaction yesterday was so widespread.
So let's talk about the reaction, Lauren, and what Susie Wiles has said that's caused some of the concern. And I know that's a very broad question, but just break down some of the things that we're dealing with here.
Yeah. So Wiles, she doesn't come out of the spotlight much, so she hasn't really posted on social media, and this was like her first reaction in over a year online. So she called the piece a framed hit piece on her and Trump and other cabinet members, and she just said that the reporter had a disregard for the context and tried to paint a negative image of the administration. And surprisingly, most of, like, every high-ranking Trump administration official came to her aid and issued statements in support of her after the stories were published. And they highlighted how hard she works behind the scenes, how loyal she is, and how much the administration has accomplished so far. And Trump himself also backed Wiles, saying he wasn't offended by her remarks about him having an alcoholic's personality because he famously doesn't drink, and that she's done a fantastic job.
So it's interesting to me because when you have a whole bunch of people basically posting the same thing, it's a coordinated effort. I mean, I think that's clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting to me that I don't understand how this could be considered a hit piece or a frame when she gave them 11 different interviews. I don't understand the framing now.
Yeah, and that's kind of where things are at right now, where it sparked a lot of questions, given how honest and candid she was over the course of 11 different interviews. There's, questions about, did she not think that she was on the record? Did she want the public to know this is how she thinks of her colleagues? Is she going to leave the administration or maybe be ousted by Trump himself? It's all a little bit unknown right now, but that's what is making the story so fascinating, is that she's not someone who normally makes headlines.
I'll say this, Lauren, that until today, I hadn't heard the name Susie Wiles, and she's the chief of staff. I mean, you would expect that that's a name that's out there, but she's been very much under the radar until now, I guess, right?
Yes, yeah. She worked on the Trump re-election campaign last year, but her role garnered some attention earlier this year because she's the first female White House chief of staff. So it is a unique and history-making position for her, but she really likes to stay behind the scenes and in the background. So that's why this Vanity Fair piece, kind of shook Washington.
Can you share with our listeners some of the pieces of information that came out of how she thinks of people within the Trump administration from this Vanity Fair article?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I kind of mentioned before, she didn't say a ton about Trump specifically, but she said that he has an alcoholic's personality, which is, like I said, is notable since he doesn't drink, and just that he is very ambitious in all that he does. And I don't think that is entirely news breaking, since we know that. She said that Vice President J.D. Vance is a known conspiracy theorist. She argued that Attorney General Pam Bondi, completely whiffed the rollout of the Epstein files, and how she didn't realize how much of a large story that would be for the administration this year. She gave insight into how there were mixed opinions about Trump's Liberation Day tariff announcement, and how she asked advisors to kind of get on board before Trump made his announcement. She criticized Elon Musk as a apparent ketamine user who is an odd duck, but also said that he's a genius.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the list goes on. She talked about how they need to do a better job double checking before they deport people. And the list goes on. It was a pretty wild story.
And so what we're hearing also, Lauren, is that at this point in time, and I know that we're still sort of in the early phases of this information coming out, that the administration and even some of her colleagues are standing behind her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
It's interesting to me, too, though, when there's a little bit of disavowal, but J.D. Vance, he yesterday said he only believes conspiracy theories when they're true, which is an interesting take. But the author, he said this is Chris Whipple. Many senior White House officials parse their words and speak only on background, which means it's not on the record. And he said, but many on the record conversations with Susie, she answered almost every question I asked her. And then the New York Times was saying, she said to them, well, I never said that. And they literally had a recording that they played back to her. So there's 11 interviews that were recorded and on the record, which is super interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting. Chris Whipple has obviously done a lot with White House Chief of Staffs over the years, and he has a unique ability to, get inside. The article showed that they met over sandwiches in her office and that he went to her rental home in D.C. and interviewed her while she was doing laundry. So he got a really unique view at Susie Wiles, and it is interesting to wonder how much she knew was going to be included in the piece, on background versus on the record, and her response after the fact being a little bit more in defense of what was published.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. That was Lauren Irwin from the Deseret News, who wrote about these two pieces that just came out in Vanity Fair. Now, after we come back after the break, we're going to have your 2026 home buying checklist, what you should be doing right now to prepare to buy a home next year. We're going to be back with the Stern team of Omada Real Estate next.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
We do have the Stern team with us right now. Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern team of Omada Real Estate.
Russell, when you were here a minute ago, we were talking about interest rates, and you mentioned buy it down. Tell our listeners what you mean by buy their interest rates down.
Yeah, so to buy down, what that means is you pay additional, fees and closing costs. So let's say you wanted to buy down your interest rate, and there's temporary buy downs where you buy down the rate for anywhere a 3-2-1 or a 2-1 or a 1-year buy down. So what that means is just you're buying it down for, let's say, 2 years, and then it's going to adjust. It's kind of almost like an ARM, where a permanent buy down, which costs quite a bit more, actually lowers your interest rate for the entire term of the loan.
All right. Can I just go back? 3-2-1. What does that one mean specifically?
Yeah. So you're actually buying it, getting the interest rate 3% lower for a year, and then 2%. And it depends on which program it is, but some of them you can go all the way of getting that down. That's going to be a lot more, but essentially for 3 years, you're going to have an interest rate that's substantially lower than at 2 year. It's going to adjust, and then 1 year adjust again.
And then, sorry to jump on top, but at the 0 point, then it goes back to whatever it was when you purchased the home. Is that right?
Right. That's your permanent interest rate for the rest of the loan.
Oh,
and are there similar incentives for first-time buyers? I sometimes hear that they can qualify for lower rates just because of their income status or their first-time buyer status.
Right, and typically those types of programs are actually going to be for the entire life of the loan. There are different, whether it be grants or different programs, there are programs available for those first-time home buyers.
Thank you so much. Remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds by visiting sternteam.com to find out more. And Russell is going to stick around with us because we're going to have more with him in just a few minutes.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You've heard me talk now for years about the Kinetico soft water system that we have in our home. As we head into the colder weather, if you're dealing with dry and itchy skin, do you notice your skin is cracking? It's uncomfortable, and the lotion doesn't seem to give you the relief you need? Hard water may be a hidden contributor to that pain and discomfort of dry, itchy skin. I've got Monty here from Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer and an expert in overcoming challenges with hard water water here in Utah.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. When you shower in hard water, the minerals don't rinse away completely, forming a film in your skin, leaving you feeling tight, dry, and constantly itching.
So the hard water minerals are essentially leaving a sticky residue on my body and even in my hair?
Exactly. Kinetico removes the minerals before they touch your skin, leaving you feeling silky, smooth, and comfortable.
Do what I did and stop buying expensive lotions and start treating the source of the problem. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
And expanded Inside Sources.
We are lucky to have in studio with us this morning Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern team of Omada Real Estate. And Russell, with the new year coming up, people maybe have a New Year's resolution to buy a house or to change houses. Or what kind of steps should a prospective home buyer be thinking about as they're preparing to buy a home?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I think as a buyer, I would say check your score. And what I mean by that is kind of figure out where you're at. And one of the first places I would start is actually I would check my credit score, find out where you stand, because depending on, where your credit is, you can qualify for lower rates if you get your credit up. And so that's one of the first things I do. And then I would actually talk with a lender pretty early on in the process, and not necessarily of like, oh, you have to be ready to buy a home or even have your credit pulled, but understand with, okay, if I have this credit rate, here's my income, what can I qualify for? Because then when you have that, you can start shopping.
I have some follow-up questions with that. So remind our listeners what a good credit score is, what an excellent credit score is, and maybe what they might want to do to get that up.
Yeah, so excellent would be definitely anything over 740. Anything above 680, you're still going to qualify for most of, the best rates out there. Anything below about 650, I would encourage you to start looking at some things to improve your credit. And so as you look at credit, things like Credit Karma or credit.com, there's a lot of different places. Even most of your credit cards and banks have a place where you can go pull it now. Number one, don't miss payments. You've got to have on-time payments for at least 12 months, but that's going to be your biggest one. The one that I see a lot of the times, though, that it will cause someone's credit to fluctuate is when they cross over 30% of the balance of their credit. And that what's tough is when you look online, a lot of the times they'll show your total credit, but it is the total credit available on each line. So you have to look at them individually, because if you've got one card that's maxed out, you could actually improve your credit score just by moving that around. Better to get that paid off. But if you're just trying to improve your credit, just moving that and getting those balances below 30%, you're going to see a jump in your credit.
As I recall, Russell, there used to be a time, and maybe there still is, when lenders had, jumbo loans or something. They had certain loan amounts that if you stayed under that amount, you were in pretty good shape. But if you got over that, it was a little harder. With home values going up as much as they have, if you're buying a $1.5 million home, what can you tell prospective buyers in terms of what lenders are doing nowadays with those kind of big mortgages?
Yeah, so they did. I believe they actually just went up, but I just pulled it up real quick. So it looks like for Salt Lake County, your jumbo loan, so anything above $806,000, so it's $806,500.
Right. Okay.
And so it is. Once you get into the jumbo, a lot of the times you're going to be looking at putting 20 to 25% down. But we also find most people that are moving into $1 million home plus, they're selling something as well, and so they're cashing out of $200,000 to $400,000 of equity or more to be able to make that down payment. And so it is one of those that know that if you're crossing over that $800,000 mark, that your loan is going to cost a little bit more.
I have a question about this would be for first-time home buyers. You mentioned being able to sell a home. How do first-time home buyers, what is your advice for saving up for a down payment? I remember that when being the biggest struggle when we bought our first home is how do we come up with that big chunk?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different, I guess, opinions on this, on whether you should save up till you have, 20% down or 15% down. I am definitely in the camp of take advantage of the programs that are out there. Utah Housing has a great no down payment program. FHA, you can get in with as little as 3.5%. There are conventional that get in with 3%. And so for me, what I would advise is let's go ahead and save up that piece. And the biggest way, there's a couple things. We may look at selling something. Can you sell it? Can go back to some of, other strategies of can you go get a second job for a minute just to be able to get into the home. The other thing I would say is practice making the payment, whatever that payment is going to be. Practice making that, and if that's in excess of what you're paying in rent, take that money and set it aside. But a lot of it is just overall looking at your total expenses. If you're looking to get into a home and you're driving, you have a car and your car payment's $800 a month, which is very common that we see. We might have to look at changing out the car if home ownership is truly something that you want. But there are good zero down payment programs out there as well.
We often think, and have heard, and maybe it's not true anymore, but it probably is, that the three most important considerations are location, location, location. Given the Wasatch Front's dearth of good locations, it's seemingly, maybe there are a lot of homes on the market, but we certainly don't have a lot of new homes on the market. What can you tell buyers about maybe tweaking their expectations as it relates to location? Yeah,
and it priced. Location definitely is one of the number one, if not the number one, indicator of what it's going to cost for a home. And so it is one of those that we kind of use the term of you're buying your first home, not your dream home. And so you want to get in, and I call it the equity game of you want to get in and just start gaining the equity through, appreciation, but also through principal pay down. So don't throw out, you may not want to live in a condo. You may not want to live in a townhome. You may not want to live, 40 minutes away from where you work. But those are the things that if your goal eventually is to get, into a different area, you probably are going to need to either start with a smaller, condo or smaller home, be there for, 5 to 7 years, and then be able to move up later on.
So what does the climate look like for buying a house in 2026? Can you project that far?
Honestly, I think it's going to be a lot of the same of what we saw last year, right? Interest rates have come down a little bit based off of what I'm hearing. We probably won't see as many rate drops next year, maybe one or two. And so what that means is interest rates are going to hold roughly about the same. I've been watching closely on unemployment and jobs, and it looks like our economy has been extremely resilient. And so honestly, it's like, other than, typically in spring we see inventory pick up, you're going to have a few more options. Maybe then we'll probably see, honestly, slight, 1% to 2% appreciation, but you'll see a lot more of what we saw this last year.
And talking about the economy, Russell, and we have Russell Fawcett, owner of the Stern team of Amada Real Estate, with us. We've always assumed that home ownership was such that it's a great investment, that home values are going to continue to rise. And I know you're not a future fortune teller, but it seems like, at least in this market in Utah, and especially along the Wasatch Front, that we have an expectation that home values will continue to rise for the next several years, don't you think?
I do. And if you look at the reports, they're saying the one that came out, it was by, I think it was 2030 that our median sales price here was going to be around $1 million. We're $40,000 units, or 40,000 units short right now of just inventory of people that would buy a home. I think our economy, businesses, if it continues to be good, which I don't see why it wouldn't here in Utah, I think we're going to continue to attract, corporations. And I don't see us going through where we would go backwards. Our healthcare is good, our education's good, our economics are good. And so at least here in Utah, I plan on still seeing appreciation for sure.
Last question. We're almost out of time. What about us geezers who are thinking about getting away from our more expensive home and downsizing? How do you advise people in that position?
Yeah, one of those, I like to look at like downsizing. What does that mean to you, right? Are we looking for a smaller home? Maybe we're looking for main floor living. I would also say, like, what do you want, I guess, retirement or those later years to look like? Are you still going to be having family over, and is that important? Because you don't want to downsize so much that, no one can come visit you anymore either. And so really it just depends on what that looks like to you.
Interesting. Sometimes you downsize so that people don't come back and visit you. Remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. Visit sternteam.com to find out more. When we come back, we're going to talk about subsidies to the Affordable Care Act, which are supposed to end at the end of this month. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Isabella Sosa. KSL's top story this hour. A cold front moving across northern Utah today will not drop a lot of water, but it will bring some strong winds. Gusts could get up to 55 miles per hour along the Wasatch Front and 60 along the West Desert. As for a white Christmas, the long-range models currently predict a high near 60 degrees on Christmas Day. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The House will vote on a bill to extend Obamacare subsidies after 4 moderate Republicans joined the Democrats' petition to force the vote. ABC's Jay O'Brien talked to Representative Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, one of those moderate Republicans.
Do you get the sense this will force leadership to take a different approach to this issue?
I sure hope so. I mean, we always try to do things the right way. We start with conversations. They introduce bills. We go the discharge route. We're trying to do things the right way. You always try to go through regular order, always. But you have to let the people's voice be heard on the House floor. You cannot not put bills on the floor because you're afraid they're going to pass. That's not how this place should operate, so.
The vote likely won't happen until next year. Obamacare subsidies are set to expire at the end of the month, which means premiums for millions of Americans will skyrocket. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 64 points, the S&P 500 is down 47 points, and the NASDAQ is down 251 points. Coming up, rainy and windy. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Most diets will help you lose a few pounds, but Soda weight loss will help you lose years. I lost 37 pounds on the Soda weight loss program 3 years ago, and I feel younger than I've felt in decades, Andy. And it's not because of how I look, it's because of how I feel.
But you do look younger,
Thank
too.
you.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and then I looked at the before and after pictures of myself and was like, wow.
It's something when you don't have to carry all of that excess weight around. And I was at a stage in my life where I didn't want to add drugs to my regimen. I wanted to reduce the number of medications I had to take. So the nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss taught me how to have a healthy relationship with food.
And it was so helpful that I could text my nutritionist anytime I wanted to for advice, which helped me learn what I needed to know so that I could keep it off. And right now, this is the perfect time to join, because if you join now, your partner joins for free. It's the perfect gift for both of you.
It's at Soda Weight Loss.
SOTAweightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
So we know the winter weather is around the corner. Nighttime temperatures are actually quite cold, and many kids here in Utah don't have the warm coats and sturdy shoes they need to get through these next cold months.
KSL's Quarters for Christmas has been helping local children for years, turning your donations into warm coats and shoes for kids right here in our community.
Every dollar you give goes directly toward providing coats and shoes for those kids who need it most, and it's really easy to make a difference. You just have to go online to kslquarters.com. Give what you can and know that you're helping keep a child warm this winter.
So join us in spreading a little comfort and a lot of kindness with KSL's Quarters for Christmas.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/radio for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Protect your home and auto by bundling them with Progressive, and you'll have a little less to worry about. But we know you'll find other things to worry about. Like that text you just got from your boss. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Oh, hey, call me when you get a sec. Yeah, this is bad. Oh, well, at least you protected your home and auto with Progressive, so you don't have to worry about that. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Let's look at traffic in the KSL Traffic Center.
A quiet drive across the Wasatch Front. I-15, no accidents or delays from Ogden to Provo. I-80 looking good from Tooele County all the way across to Summit County, both east and westbound, no issues. And I-215 traveling at speed no matter where you drive across the Salt Lake Valley. Christmas time is merry and bright at the shops at Riverwoods in Provo. Come see Santa, shop, dine, and see magical Christmas lights at the shops at Riverwoods in Provo. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've got a wind advisory until about 5 today. The high is 61 with a low of 42 and a 50% chance of rain. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 58. I'm Isabella Sosa, KSL News Radio from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
And I don't know whether to be surprised or not by this revelation, Holly, but 4 Republican House members have broken with Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday and signed onto a Democratic-led petition. You call this a discharge petition that will force the House to vote on extending for 3 years the enhanced pandemic-era subsidy that lowers health insurance for millions of Americans. It's something that's been talked about a lot, and it's something that actually caused, in large part, the government shutdown.
It's super interesting to me because I thought it was dead. Like, I thought it was dead in the water, and it's not. And we have Cami Mondo, the Deseret News congressional correspondent, on the line with us today to tell us what happened today because, again, I thought it was over. Thanks, Cami.
Yeah, definitely. And like you're saying, this morning was a lot of quick action, a lot of jumping to our feet as we saw this occur. But, you know, something that, as you said, we thought was dead in the water just last night, and now it appears to be the number one talked about topic today.
Of course.
So tell us what 4 Republicans do to the numbers.
Absolutely. So as we've, talked about other discharge petitions, you have to get to that 218 number, which marks the majority threshold of the House. That would have required 4 Republicans to sign off the petition. I'm told that more were likely to follow suit, but once you get to that 218, it's frozen. So now that petition is, ready to go. It's going to ripen. It's going to take a couple legislative days, so we likely won't see that this week, but it would tee up a vote in January.
So, Cami, the Subsidies are due to expire December 31st. We know that premiums are going to increase. In fact, we talked with Utah's insurance commissioner, and he told us they could go up by as much as 700%, which is 7 times what people are paying right now, which is really, really a lot. With the vote potentially not happening until after the new year, how might that change things?
So the way that lawmakers are kind of looking at it up here is they kind of view the end of January as their real set deadline. Obviously, they do expire at the end of this month, but they're thinking if they can get some sort of fix before the end of January, they can hold off any real, bad price surges, or at least, give people relief immediately. But, even if they do get a vote in January, it's not certain that would pass. Other people are looking at some backup options. What they have signed on to today is likely not going to be the final product, but people are hoping it restarts those bipartisan discussions.
Yeah, and we're talking about some 22 million people who rely on subsidies. That has to be a pretty compelling number in every state. So it's probably not too surprising that some of these Republican lawmakers are getting some pushback within their own states to put this back on the table. And maybe there's reason to believe that this continuing resolution, or whatever we want to call it, is going to happen.
It's a discharge petition to force a vote.
Right.
Right, and that's exactly what you heard from these few Republicans who are also from, purple districts. They're from more competitive districts. So it does also have that political element where, these lawmakers are saying that leaders on both sides don't really want to do anything. They want to keep the political messaging, but they are concerned about their constituents, and they're concerned about all these people who will have their health care prices surging. And so that is essentially why you saw them sign on.
So, Cammie, you already said that just because they signed on, it doesn't guarantee that this might pass. And then, of course, we have the Senate side. But I'm wondering if they're willing to go out in public and and basically say, hey, we're here to say we want at least a vote on this. Would it be more likely than not that they're going to support an eventual bill, an actual bill?
And that's kind of the discussion right now. We see that 3-year extension, which is in this discharge petition, but that already failed in the Senate last week. So that likely, as a bill, probably wouldn't even get the support of some of the Republicans who signed the petition. I think it's really just an act of rebellion, a way to get leadership's attention that these talks need to restart. They're all going to go home for the holidays. They're likely going to be hearing a lot from their constituents, especially those who rely on these credits. So I think more so than anything else, it's really just a way to get things restarted rather than actually passing that piece of legislation.
Okay, I have a question, too, about the Senate side. And I saw Senator Fetterman has a proposal, and I think his proposal was to extend for a year. Is that part of these ongoing conversations? Do you know yet?
Yes, absolutely. And so there have been a lot of, timelines thrown out there. You have some who want a year, some who want 2 years. That 3 years probably not going to go anywhere just because people view that as a very, very temporary fix. But some of those senators who have been pushing for the extension met with those House members today who signed on to the Democratic discharge. And so those bipartisan conversations are already ongoing.
We're joined this morning by Cammie Mondeaux, Deseret News congressional correspondent. And Cammie, what has been the response from Republican leadership in the House? Johnson
seemed more so than anything else a little bit surprised, and he kind of seemed a little like he had been in these conversations, and that he said there seemed to be a lot of confusion on what happened because, last week we were under the impression that GOP leadership was going to give an amendment to these moderate Republicans for the extension. That all fell apart over the weekend. And so that's kind of led to this kind of situation where we're at now, where those moderates are rebelling. And Johnson today seemed to think that that was just a confusion on their part, that he would support whatever proposal they want to put on the floor. But those conversations are still ongoing as well.
Sometimes I think Speaker Johnson might be a little condescending about what people are doing. But that aside, my question for you is governing by or voting by discharge petition, is that going to be a new thing?
It seems like that's the only way things are coming to the floor these days. And you see a lot of frustration about that within the Republican ranks itself. You're seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene, who won't be in Congress very much longer, but saying that she'll sign on to any discharge petition, regardless of who it is, just because she's so frustrated nothing is coming to the floor. And it seems like you are going to see discharge petitions come up a lot more in the next year, especially if this, kind of log jam continues.
And Cami, we only have time for maybe one more question, but do you see this not going anywhere once it gets to the Senate?
I definitely think that if they want something to pass, it will not be any of the proposals that have, made it to the floor yet. This discharge petition 3-year likely will not stand, but I think it is going to spur some sort of action. We most likely won't see anything until January when they come back. I think that'll really light the fire for them to really get something done.
And then really quickly, are they leaving on Friday for the rest of the year? Is that right?
Yes, so they are in this week till the end, and then they will be gone. They could, there are whispers of, always that they could leave early. Haven't heard anything concrete on that yet, but it's always a rumor. So,
all right. Thanks so much for joining us, Cami, as always. Next, we're going to get into how traditions are a fundamental part of a strong family life, and we want to hear from you. Please tell us your favorite traditions and which ones you've dumped. You can text us at 57500, and we'll talk about family traditions when we come back.
Give her a Bernina, the Christmas gift she'll love and use from Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George.
Buy the Bernina 880 Plus machine.
Previously loved for only $1,999. Other buybacks and trade-ins start at $499 featuring 2-year warranties and free classes. Just what you wished for. Dave's Bernina has a second chance at Black Friday deals.
All machines are on sale, including the new Bernina 3 Series, priced too low to mention. Even the most advanced sewing machine in the world, the Bernina 990, is on sale. That comes with free gifts.
Special financing offers of 1.9% for 48 months or 0% interest for 24 months.
Incredible doorbuster deals on accessories that you will have to come into the store to find out.
And gift packages worth up to $5,200 free with certain new Bernina machine purchases.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
The countdown is on. Christmas is just days away, and if your holiday list is still looking a little long, start at Junction Commons Park City. Wrap up your holiday shopping and climb into mountaintop savings at over 60 national brands, outlets, restaurants, and local boutiques like Nike Factory, Columbia, Polo Ralph Lauren, and Sun and Ski Sports. Plus, hometown favorites like Fulfilled, JC Country, and local gifts. From cozy apparel to unique finds, you'll check off every name on your list in one scenic stop. And while you're here, take a breather. Stroll the festive walkways, enjoy the snowy mountain views, and grab a bite to eat. Maybe even unwind a little with self-care at Park City Nail Lounge, because you deserve a moment of merry too. At Junction Commons Park City, holiday shopping, mountain magic, and mountaintop savings that shine brighter than the snow. It all starts at Junction Commons Park City. Junction Commons, where the mountains are merry, the gifts are ready, and the countdown to Christmas is on.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Inside Sources.
It's the time of year when we honor tradition maybe more than any other time. And so I was interested in an article that you wrote, Holly, regarding traditions and where we are and sort of the change in traditions. Because as generations leave, I know that when my grandparents died, the tradition we had with them every year at Christmas obviously faded away. My parents passed away. We had a tradition of seeing them every year at Christmas. We've had to sort of evolve and adapt our own traditions moving forward.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And, traditions are more than just routines. And I did write in the article, it'd be nice if, doing laundry was a tradition for my kids. But there was a book I read, and it's been at least a decade since I read it, and it was not new then. It's called The Book of New Family Traditions, which is funny. But the author, Meg Cox, says she describes any tradition as an activity you purposefully repeat together as a family that includes heightened attentiveness and something extra that lifts it above the ordinary ruts. Now, I have an unusual family. We built our family largely by adoption, and so kids were coming in from all over the world, different ages. And one of the things that traditions gave us was a shared history and shared stories, right? So we have a family story that's family lore at this point. So when my husband and his brother were in their early 20s, they were at home alone. Their parents were out of town. And my brother-in-law said to my husband, he said, look, if you make sandwiches, I'll make macaroni and cheese and we'll do lunch together. And so my husband was like, okay, that's fine. So my brother-in-law makes the macaroni and cheese, and my husband takes 2 pieces of bread, sticks the macaroni and cheese in the middle and said, ta-da, sandwiches. And I'm telling you, my brother-in-law did not laugh or smile at that story for at least 20 years, while our family thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah, right. Well, and I mentioned my parents and grandparents. So my parents died only recently, a couple of years ago, but we had a tradition of visiting my parents every year on Christmas Day. We would go to their house at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Christmas Day. It was just one of those things you did. So we're trying to resurrect that a little bit, and I just sent a flyer out to all my family and said, 4 o'clock Christmas Day, come on over to the house. And we're getting some feedback. I think people are going to show up. We'll see.
Yeah, that's nice. I wanted to talk about morphing traditions too, because this one was funny. So I thought it was funny the way it morphed. So when I grew up, on Christmas Eve, we would have tapioca pudding with an almond in it, and the person who got the nut was able to open a present. It was a family present, not an individual present. And so that was when I was growing up. So when I had my own family, I changed the nut to a cherry because I was afraid somebody might choke on it, but I kept with the tapioca pudding. My brother hates tapioca pudding, so he changed it to chocolate pudding but kept the nut, right? You can see how it's morphing already.
Yes.
So I found out one time, I asked my mom about this tradition, and she said that it was her mom, so my grandmother, didn't like rice pudding, and that's what was being made before her. So she changed it to the tapioca pudding. Well, I just recently found out that it is actually a Danish tradition to do a special Christmas Eve rice pudding with an almond in it, and that person gets to choose a present. And I'm like, well, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And and now it's not recognizable within our family, really. Although I might go back to rice pudding this year.
My wife had her family before we got married, and I had mine. So we each had our own traditions and our own family. And now we've tried to morph those together as well and say, okay, well, this year we'll do your family's traditions. Next year we'll do mine. And we've actually blended some together because she's enjoyed what my family has done, and I've enjoyed what her family has done.
We have a couple of texters, and I'd love to hear more. What traditions do you keep, and what have you dumped? But one of our texters said that their favorite Christmas tradition is going to the mountains to cut a Christmas tree. That's awesome. And another one says that this is probably specific to their family, but my mom was always very picky on what ornaments go on the tree. So my sister and I would see who could put the most ornaments on that were not supposed to be on the tree without my mom noticing. And then they say she always noticed. I can't be the only person with a mom who likes their tree a certain way. Enjoyable tradition, nonetheless.
That one tradition is going to be a bucket list for me. I've never gone and cut my own tree.
Yeah.
But I've thought about it. I think you need a permit. You go to certain areas.
But it's not super expensive.
You go up and the fun
Trudge
part would be
snow.
finding the tree. I mean, I really want to do that sometime. I'm going to look into that. That's a tradition I want to start someday.
It's so funny. So I also changed the tradition, and this was one that I had growing up as well. We would do a full turkey dinner on Christmas Day, just like Thanksgiving Day. So I started that at the beginning of our family. And then I decided I didn't want to spend all day Christmas Day cooking and cleaning like I do on Thanksgiving Day. And so we do leftovers. So I think we're going to cook a turkey maybe Monday next week, and then we'll have leftovers, but we'll have leftovers for Christmas Day. Because I want to participate, too, in the family stuff, in the games and the presents. I do not want to spend my day in the kitchen. Thank you very much.
Well, you don't have much choice with your family, though. You are going to spend a fair amount of time in the kitchen.
No, that's why we plan ahead.
Oh, yeah, good for you. I mean, I saw your Thanksgiving spread.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
But we do leftovers, and we do snacks. So my husband makes Chex Mix every year. That's really popular. It's so funny because there's so much tied up in food and traditions, right? So you can smell certain things. And so I think I make more cookies during these last couple of weeks of December than I do the rest of the entire year put together, right? So we'll have, 10 different kinds of cookies, and I make a Yule log, and it's things like that where you just say, oh, it's all about the food, man.
And speaking of food, that's one of the traditions that I've picked up for the last 20 years since I've been married to Rebecca. She does a huge spread on Christmas Eve. And it doesn't matter who's around. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. She does this amazing dinner, a Christmas Eve dinner. And then people can open one present or something like that. But it's just that's one of the big meals we have the whole year. Her Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah, we've done charcuterie board. My daughter is super talented, and I've done it for my birthday for the last several years. And this year, I asked them not to do that, and we're going to take the whole family out to a restaurant because I can tell you we can spend several $100s on cheese for charcuterie boards. Anyway, we do have a texter, and this one's just for you. There are tree farms that grow in yearly waves, so you can specifically come to their farm and cut a tree down, and you don't need a permit. And then we have another one that says, I shared in the same tradition that Greg Skordas did. His grandparents, my great-grandparents, we would always go to their home on Christmas morning to the smell of burnt toast. Everyone would cook toast and put jam and butter on it throughout Christmas Day.
That brings back some memories of Grandma. Burnt toast. That's the greatest text ever. I mean, it reminds me of my grandparents, the burnt toast and
that reminds me of Charlie Brown and his Thanksgiving spread,
coffee.
Toast
Right,
and
yes.
jelly beans.
Right, yes.
This texter says, my mother had a showcase-type Christmas tree every year. It would be better called a masterpiece. No traditional Christmas ornaments. She did the tree. She picked the theme every year. But as kids, we always had a great Christmas, and it was way different 60 years ago. And this is from our texter named Debbie.
Are you a real tree or an artificial tree?
I used to be real for a while because I thought, well, how is it Christmas if you can't smell the
That's
pine
exactly
tree?
Right, yeah.
But here's what happened. They became fire hazards. And the dry needles that fall on the ground, they were like stepping hazards. My kids were getting puncture wounds from these needles. And when we were trying to take them outside at the end, I did everything trying to keep them watered. I'm an artificial tree gal now.
Yeah, well, we are too. And I do love the smell of a real tree. But we do have, my wife will put up real wreaths and smaller
stuff,
things that are made out of real.
Yeah.
I've
never been able to find an artificial pine tree smell that actually smells like a real pine tree.
Right.
So
they have those candles. They
do, and they're just not quite there. So it's just fun. And, traditions, it's really funny. I have one more funny story before we end this segment. But as I mentioned, our kids, we were deliberate in traditions, and we did it year round, not just Christmas. We were really deliberate. And they came to feel like on Valentine's Day, we have pink food. On St. Patrick's Day, we have green food, right? Because it was part of the family cohesion we were trying to build. But I tried to change tradition once with Christmas Eve dinner. It did not go well. Actually, the dinner was really fun. What we did was a Harry Potter themed meal. And so we went all out. We had robes. One of my sons made wands for everybody. We did the Bernie Bott's beans that were the jelly beans with weird flavors like grass and other gross stuff. And it was really fun. And afterwards, the kids are like, okay, can we just go back to like the regular meal? And it's just like a Tex-Mex meal that we do. My husband, when he was a teenager, worked in a Mexican restaurant. So that's what we do, because they're like, this isn't Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and the kids, they like the traditions. My kids,
and they're adults.
And
right?
My kids don't even live in Utah. And they're, Dad, what are you doing this year for Christmas?
That's exactly right.
Speaking of tradition, there's a group of Minnesota judges who have a tradition of trading their gavels for guitars, literally. Despite a spike in threats against the judiciary, these high-ranking justices are hitting the stage in a rock and roll band to help cope. We'll have more on that after the break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. Utah and several other states have reached a settlement with a Swiss drug company, which means people who relied on the company for prescription drugs might be getting some money back. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
There was a group of states that accused the Sandoz company of illegally working with other drug makers to set prices for generic drugs between 2009 and 2014. Well, the company is not admitting any wrongdoing in this new settlement, but they have set aside millions to help pay consumers back. Utah's share is $1.52 million.
The Utah Attorney General's office says there will be a way for Utah's impacted to submit claims. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Hundreds gathered for a vigil at Brown University for the 2 students killed and 9 injured in Saturday's mass shooting. Police releasing new images of a person of interest they say have been near the scene of the shooting earlier that day. Here's ABC's Hannah Baton.
At 4:06 p.m., the man is spotted again, not far from the site of the attack. In some clips, he has a small bag. He's described as 5'8" with a stocky build. As for the victims, 7 of the 9 survivors remained in the hospital last night, 1 in critical condition.
The investigation is ongoing. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 179 points. The S&P is down 59 points. And coming up, a few showers with gusty winds. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Think of a time when life knocked the wind out of you, turned you completely upside down. Now, imagine if no one showed up. That's the reality for too many in Utah. Every day, people battle mental health challenges, addiction, and homelessness, often in silence, often feeling invisible. At Volunteers of America Utah, we show up with recovery support, counseling, youth programs, shelter, and people who simply refuse to give up on others. A safe bed, a warm meal, a conversation that says you belong. And right now, your gift is matched, helping twice as many people find hope and stability. Because when you help someone feel human again, you transform the whole community. Be the reason someone finds hope today. Visit voaut.org.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from cardholder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at bfa.com/cardfwc26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America NA in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
With Steel, batteries are included. This holiday season, give a gift that's ready to go right out of the box. For everything from cleaning up the yard to cutting up firewood, Steel tools check off the wish list and knock out the to-do list. And right now, buy select battery tool sets and get a free extra battery. Visit SteelUSA.com for holiday deals and gift ideas. Happy holidays from Steel. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. One of Utah's oldest and largest private philanthropic organizations, the George S. and Dolores Dory Eccles Foundation, has touched the lives of thousands and profoundly improved life as we know it in the Beehive State. Foundation President and COO Lisa Eccles joins us with more.
My Uncle George and Aunt Loli were dynamic, compassionate community leaders who loved Utah. That's why they created the George S. and Dolores Dory Eccles Foundation to uplift, open doors of opportunity, and improve the quality of life in Utah. 67 years later, the foundation partners with more than 400 nonprofits each year to make a meaningful difference in every corner of our state. Whether it's building a much-needed University of Utah hospital in West Valley City, funding a mobile food pantry in Fairview, protecting our incredible landscapes, or supporting, yes, a second Winter Olympics. We're so proud to say we're completely committed to Utah now and in perpetuity. Moving forward, we're honored to continue building on a legacy of working together with all of you to benefit our families, our future generations, and all of us who call Utah home.
By awarding more than $1 billion in grants since its founding, the George S. and Dolores Dory Eccles Foundation has had a lasting impact on Utah, its economy, and its people. To learn more, visit gsecclesfoundation.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Tito Nani.
A quiet drive with no delays if you're traveling on I-15 going both directions along the Wasatch Front. And the same can be said elsewhere throughout the valley as you drive along I-80, I-215, or the 21st South Freeway. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're nearing record highs today, and with showers in the northern Utah this afternoon. The winds will be blowing all afternoon with gusts up to 55 miles an hour along the Wasatch Front. Right now it is 59 degrees and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, here's something you don't hear every day, Holly. An all-judge rock band. They're not half bad.
It must be. Look, it's funny to me. They named their group the Reasonable Doubts. So it's 9 members of Minnesota's judicial system, including a Supreme Court Justice, Ann McKeague, I think is how you say her name. She's the first Indigenous woman on a state high court. And, here's my question for you before we listen to a more in-depth story. Is that how you would relieve stress? Probably not. You're probably the mountain biker, right?
Yeah, I used to play the drums in high school and college. I didn't play in a band except just the school band and school orchestra, and I loved it. It was a great outlet. But it's unless you have a group.
I can imagine that beating the drums would be a stress reliever.
Yeah, it was great. And with what's going on with our judiciary, locally, nationally, it's just refreshing to see and hear about some judges who are doing something a little bit off the wall and just taking some matters into their own hands, and let's just form a band and let our hair down a little bit here and have some fun.
We're going to take a few minutes to listen to reporting from ABC's Devin Dwyer on how these Minnesota judges are using music to cope with the threats that they've been getting and to send a powerful signal in a climate of intimidation.
I tell my kids, you are to never acknowledge that I'm your mom, and that's a sad statement, but it's,
really?
I tell them that. Acknowledge, if somebody says, is your mother Ann McKeague, you say no.
Because?
Because I don't want them to get hurt.
The intensity of the threats against judges and their families have created taxing new dimensions to upholding rule of law in America. And that has prompted many, including Justice McKeag, to search for new ways to cope.
I thought, okay, we need to find out a way to have some fun because this is a pretty serious job.
Meet the Reasonable Doubts, an all-judge rock band that plays classics from Johnny Cash and contemporary hits from Elle King.
There are 10,000 bar bands that are more talented than we are musically. People are interested because of the day job, and that's okay too.
Their repertoire has a decidedly law and order vibe.
And do you perform in your robes?
No, thank goodness.
But you do wear black.
We do wear black.
All rise.
Justice McKeag recruited Justice Sarah Hennessy and 7 other judges from across the state. They meet twice a month in, what else, an old law library to blow off steam. Retired Judge Dale Harris spent 15 years hearing cases in Duluth.
The job is tough, and you have to have outlets for something to get you out of your own head every once in a while.
So
and
Ruth Bader Ginsburg went to the opera, Clarence Thomas goes camping, you guys go rocking.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Being a judge is not only stressful, but there's a lot of secondary trauma.
What do you mean by that?
We sit through trials where you have victims testify who have suffered through some really difficult criminal experiences, right? In your courtroom, you're going to take on some of that pain, and it wakes us up at night. You know, this is therapy for us. This is a way to use something creative to feel better, and I think we've all found that to be helpful.
This was a long dream of yours to be a rock star.
Well, yeah, it was definitely a role. Yeah, I mean, it's the part that brings me the most joy.
McKeag and the Reasonable Doubts are spreading that joy in public, performing on stage at community gatherings, despite safety risks from greater exposure outside their courtrooms.
I think that it shows people a side of judges that they don't expect. So it's like, well, no, actually, we're people.
Before the band was part of our social media website, I think we had like 200 followers on Instagram, and now we've got almost 3,000.
We've got groupies now.
But what that means is we can now use that platform to talk about things that matter.
The band members hail from rural, suburban, and urban courts, Republican appointees and Democrat appointees, all finding common cause in music.
Is there a message there?
Yeah, that this is the way the country should behave. You can have disagreements, but it doesn't mean that we have to be at war with each other.
And we take care of each other. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your politics are, we take care of each other.
And good for them. I mean, what a fun-sounding band. I mean, some of the new stuff, and then they played a couple Johnny Cash pieces.
Yeah, it's really fun. And you know, our governor plays. He might hurt me if I don't get it right. I think he plays a guitar. I don't know how many different kinds there are, but his son also plays, and I've heard him play. And in fact, he's made jokes about it, right? About him playing in a band as well.
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard our Attorney General Derek Brown play the piano, but he is
not exactly a band. He is world class.
But his family performed all together at an event that I attended, and they were just amazing. I mean, amazing. These are people that you'd go watch at a concert.
In fact, I think he put himself through college by playing the piano. That's how he earned money to get through college.
Right, and
he's
wife
very,
has a
very
beautiful
good.
Voice. His kids all have great
wife
voices.
is in Diaz-Avedo, Emily Diaz-Avedo Brown. Very, very famous family. Very, very musical. Very talented. So, what musical instrument do you play? You play the drums?
Yes, sort of percussion. I played the timpani. You know, the xylophone, you know, whatever you could hit with a stick. I was playing it.
I play the radio.
Yeah.
So I really don't play any musical instrument.
My mom played the piano. She was extremely accomplished pianist, played at the church all the time.
Oh, wow.
My father played the drums, and they met in high school when he was performing at her high school dance.
Oh, wow.
And he was playing the drums, and he had to take a break, and he said, "Can you just sit at my drums and play for a minute while I take a break?" And the rest was history.
One year in junior high, one school year, I played the flute poorly, but but I just don't play musical instruments. But I have a couple of kids that are pretty talented, which is interesting, right? It's some of it's genetics, because it definitely, I mean, some of it is their own genetics, since they're not genetically related to me.
Well, one thing I would like to do some point is get another piano. I play the piano, but it's not one of those things you just go down to the store and buy. I mean, it takes up a lot of room, and
it does take a lot of room.
bit of money, but I think when I get closer to retirement, I'm going to get a piano back in the house and play on that, because that was the drums are great relief too, but it makes the rest of the house a little uncomfortable.
Right.
Piano,
speaking of drums, the jokes I've seen this year about baby Jesus and the drummer boy and Mary saying, "What the heck? I do not need you playing the drums right now. Thank you very much." Right?
Yeah. My mom was in a chorus, and they played that song every year at churches, and I would come and play the drums.
The drum.
Yeah. We had
I remember as a kid, the little drummer boy. Do you remember the animated show that they had, and his little lamb gets run over by a chariot? I remember that being the first movie I ever cried to. I was a little kid. It's like, oh, the lamb died. It's terrible. Anyway, and then the baby Jesus resurrected the lamb, so it was okay.
Well, there you go. Well, when we come back after the break, Riverton High students are raising money for mental health and hope by turning chores into charity. We'll talk to the teens behind the Silver Rush fundraiser next and how you can help. Don't miss it.
You probably know if you need new windows. You hear the wind whistling. There's condensation between the panes. Maybe your heating bill's too high, but you don't want to pull the trigger because it costs a lot of money. I understand. And they understand at Advanced Window Products. After all, they've been creating custom state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. They know what's up. That's why they offer 60-month 0% financing or buy now, pay later. You get the windows this winter for 30 to 40% less because you're buying straight from the factory. They'll build, they'll install your windows, and you don't have to pay for a year or more. At Advanced, they're committed to making your new windows affordable. And if you call now, they'll knock another $2,500 off your quote. State-of-the-art, energy-saving windows built here for Utah's changing climate. And right now, $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Winter is here, and many kids here in Utah don't have the warm coats and sturdy shoes they need to get through the upcoming cold months.
I'm really happy that KSL's Quarters for Christmas is continuing to help local children. They've done it for years, and they turn your donations into warm coats and shoes for kids right here in our own community.
And you should know that every dollar you give goes directly toward providing coats and shoes for kids who need them most. It's easy to make a difference. Just go online to kslquarters.com, donate whatever you can, and know that you're helping keep a child warm this winter.
Please join us in spreading a little comfort and a lot of kindness with KSL's Quarters for Christmas.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Annuities, non-advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at trajanwealth.com.
It's the time of year when family gathers and we spend more time inside our homes. The last thing you want to worry about is the health and cleanliness of your carpets. With the rush of the holidays, no one has time to tackle that job alone. So let Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning handle it for you. Most people don't realize the impact carpets can have on your health. Trapped dust and debris affect the air you breathe and the way your home feels. Zerorez uses patented technology with no detergents or harsh chemicals, which leaves your carpets cleaner for longer and safe for kids and pets. And if you're not satisfied, they'll re-clean any areas for free within 30 days. Right now, you can get 3 rooms clean for $129 when you mention KSL. Refresh your home before the holiday craziness. Call 866-ZERORES or go to Zerorez.com. Spelled the same forwards or backwards. Zerorez is the right way to clean.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
So for our kindness section today, Holly, we're going to go out to Riverton High School, where students there are raising money for mental health and hope by turning chores into charity. Last year's charity received something like $170,000 in donations. I mean, these kids
I love this
clearly
idea.
know what they're doing. This is called the Silver Rush fundraiser, and I think that Riverton is the Silver Wolves. So there may be some more than just a coincidence there.
Well, we have Seth Christensen, the Student Body Officer President, and Haley Scott, Student Body Officer of Communications, on the line with us. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us here.
We are so excited.
All right, Seth. So tell us about this Silver Rush fundraiser. How does it work?
Oh my goodness, I would absolutely love to. So Silver Rush is our high school charity event. It happens every single year, and it is solely because of the students that we're able to make it possible. We're able to go out into the community with student help, and we're able to raise money for a charity that we choose. This year, the charity is We Give Hope. It's helping people right here in our Riverton or Bluffdale community who aren't able to afford Christmas gifts for their kids if they're having a financial struggle. And it's also helping people who aren't able to afford mental health treatment and get them the treatment that they need. So that's our entire charity this year, and it is incredible.
So, Haley, can you tell us how do you actually do this fundraiser? Because how do you turn chores into charity?
So there is so much going on the month of December. There's about 3 to 4 things every day. There is a sponsor night every day almost, where we can go to restaurants, and we do odd jobs where we go door to door and ask for service opportunities. We have things going on in the Commons at lunch every day, and there's genuinely never a second free of service.
Seth, as you're putting this together every year, how do you decide who's going to be the beneficiary and who and how you pick the group this year?
So starting in about September or October, we go through all the applications that people have tried to come and be our charity, and we bring our own, and we usually start with about 250 charities. And then we research every single little part about each charity, find out what they're doing, what they're serving, how we can help them, what our money would be used for. And slowly that 250 becomes 200, then 100, then 10. And once we get those 10 charities, we interviewed them, We make sure we have every single thing we need about that charity. And then we get together as a group, we discuss it, and we choose our charity.
Wow.
So, Haley, let me ask you this question. What is the most rewarding chore that you've done in the month of December this year?
I think, honestly, just going to people's houses during odd jobs. Like the other day, I knocked on a house and these old ladies invited me in. They asked why we were there, and I said we were here for Silver Rush to do service opportunities, and we're raising funds for mental health awareness and suicide prevention. And she just started crying. She walked back into her kitchen and grabbed a couple of $1 bills. And it wasn't about how much she gave. It's about how much emotion she put into it. We always like to say it's not about the money, it's about the change. And so just seeing all the change on our community's faces and our students, it truly is amazing and like nothing else.
We're speaking with Seth Christensen and Haley Scott, student body officers at Riverton High School. And Seth, for our listeners who want to be involved or want to help, what can you tell them? Where can they find out about this?
Well, the easiest way to get involved in Silver Rush is the Riverton High School website. You go there, there's a whole thing about Silver Rush. You can donate there. But one thing we really want to focus on this year is that the only change you make doesn't have to be money. We want to make sure that people know that they have the ability to go out and love the people around them, to serve them, to ask them how they're doing. And we believe if we're able to make people ask each other and get closer to each other, we succeeded.
So one final question. How long is this fundraiser going?
We go for 19 days. So we started December 1st and we'll end on Friday. And we'll have our banner drop on Friday where our students and our student body officers and all the student government will be able to find out the impact that we've had.
Thank you so much. That was
what a great story.
Yeah, it really was. Seth Christensen and Haley Scott, student body officers at Riverton High School, and what a great cause. You know, our young people, we've had a few on this show who are doing some things right now that are just amazing.
So great.
Right.
Yeah. And I love the idea that they're doing chores, right? That they're going around and they're saying, "Can I, do yard work? Can I wrap presents for you?" And I would figure out a way, especially if they took Venmo, because I don't usually have cash. I would figure out a way to hire them.
And as much as they're helping the community, this is teaching the young people an invaluable lesson about giving and helping, and even just the fundraising part of it is really helpful.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, look, so today is December 17th. It is National Maple Syrup Day. And so this time of year, what that makes me think of is the movie Elf, right? Where he's pouring syrup on the top of his spaghetti along with candy corn and other sprinkles. So it's National Maple Syrup Day. Okay, on this day in history, so December 17th, 1760, Deborah Sampson was born. During the Revolutionary War, she disguised herself as a man, and she used the name Robert Shurtleff. Enlisted in the Continental Army, she was one of a handful of women who got a military pension at the time.
Wow.
So she was born on this day in 1760.
I don't even know that story, but
I
that's
know.
amazing.
It's
that's
a great story.
Cool.
You will know this story. In 1903, on December 17th, a couple of brothers made their first successful airplane flight.
I knew there was a major
Kitty Hawk
today.
That's right. Yep, Kitty Hawk. So the first successful airplane flight near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, was Orville and Wilbur Wright on this day in 1903.
122 years ago.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Okay, this one is for our sports fans. So in 1933, the NFL hosted its first championship game. The Chicago Bears played the New York Giants.
And I think the Giants won.
Nope.
I had a 50-50
the Bears won, and it was a close game. It was 23-21.
And that was before the Super Bowl because there was just the NFL.
That's right.
When the AFL came, they decided to get the two leagues together and fight it out. And NFL championship game.
All right, here is another one. This one is semi-happy. So in 1944, the U.S. approved the end to the internment of Japanese Americans. So you remember that history is after Pearl Harbor was bombed in 1941, all of a sudden there was a round them up and put them in internment camps, whether they were born here, whether they'd been here for a couple of generations or whatever it was. And we had down by Delta, we had Topaz internment camp. So it was on this day in 1944 where they said, well, maybe we probably shouldn't do that.
And boy, did we learn some lessons from that. I mean,
Did we now?
At the time, I hope. I mean, at the time, there was a lot of fear. Pearl Harbor, that we didn't know who you could trust. But, that was a part of history that we hope we don't repeat. And I know where you're going, but,
Yeah, I would say we're repeating it right now.
History does repeat itself periodically.
Yeah, I would say that too. And then finally, on this day in 1991, Boris Yeltsin, remember him? He announced that the Soviet Union would cease to exist by New Year's Eve. So in 1991.
Yeah, and I wonder what was behind that. I mean, we could talk for hours
There's
about
lots
that,
of stuff with Reagan and lots of conversations. And, what was super interesting is when the Iron Curtain fell and the Soviet Union was no more and dissolved into new nations, there was a real sense of optimism, I think, worldwide in their countries, but elsewhere as well, that capitalism would rise and democracy would rise. And in some countries it has. In Russia, not so much. But at the beginning, there were people who were really, really happy that democracy probably seemed like it had prevailed. We know history is a little different now.
Yeah, and we know that history has changed that program too, because now